Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope you had a good weekend. Happy Monday. I know it's an oxymoron, and I know that it irritates a lot of you when I say it. It's part of the reason why I say it. Phone number to join us, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right. There's a lot to go over, I should say, over the weekend. And we're going to get to some of it. We're going to run out of time on a lot of it. And we'll just start filtering it in throughout the rest of the week. And then on Friday, we'll do whatever's left over like we usually do. There's some pretty big news that's out there, actually, that isn't getting a lot of attention. And so usually you kind of spend Monday sometimes going over some of that stuff, but usually it's later in the week when you'll talk about it because nobody else has addressed it throughout the rest of the week. But this stuff has been very interesting, to say the least. So we got some election updates. We got some new studies, got a whole bunch of weird, crazy things and stupid people. So just be on the lookout. I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. Once again, if you mention me, get half off your range time. That is 50% off. You also get 10% off in the store. So you can go to the range for half price. You can shoot on the range. They have 10 dedicated shooting lanes, rifle and pistol, indoors. So if it's raining or anything else outside, you can get out of the weather. But then you can get 10% off on your purchases in the store. So if you're looking for an accessory for a firearm, ammo, targets, things like that, if you want to check out some of my knives and holsters that they have in stock, you can also get discounts on that stuff too. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. I suppose I should probably start this all off by talking about Portland. And, you know, this is actually, I'll give you kind of an idea. So the Proud Boys, we kind of talked about it last week. So the Proud Boys, they are a pro-Trump organization. They were started as a joke by conservative libertarian / commentator. He wouldn't call himself conservative, although most of his opinions are definitely on the conservative right, but he identifies more as a libertarian. Gavin McInnes. So this all started as a joke. I think it was on Anthony Cumia's show. And they started the Proud Boys. They were talking about how it'd be kind of funny to have this super silly name, and basically it's just a men's club. Okay, this is a men's club that gets together. That they go to drink beer, they hang out together, that sort of thing. Membership is pretty much open to anybody. They have their stated rules, and it just so happens that they tend to be pro-Trump. Okay, that's it. You know, they've got a couple of other things that they have in their rules. They advertise on their website, crystal clear, that all races and sexualities are welcome. It's just for men only. Okay. But 30% of their membership is minority. Now, the reason that this is important is because they have been smeared as a white supremacist hate group. And they're not. They're not a white supremacist group at all. They are not an anti-gay group. They have many members that are gay. They're just a pro-Trump men's club. That's it. Now, what ended up happening is because Gavin McInnes was tied to this, and Gavin McInnes has been falsely accused. We interviewed Cassandra Fairbanks about this when Gavin McInnes was finally deplatformed. And I asked her a question. I said, look, aside from the president, this could be the most slandered person in America. And she agreed with that statement. He's constantly been lied about. He's been called a white supremacist. His wife and his children are Native American. He's been called a nationalist. Well, he's Canadian, of Scottish descent. None of it makes sense, right? But they don't like him. And anybody who's spent 5 minutes listening to Gavin McInnes will know that he is not the demon that people proclaim him to be. But because he was responsible for kind of founding the Proud Boys, he was propelled as their leader, but he wasn't their leader. And he's the first one to tell you, he's like, there is no leader. It's just a group. It's a club. We get together. And that's all there is. Give you kind of an idea. A lot of you are a part of groups on Facebook. There's somebody who started the page, but there isn't a leadership structure to a lot of those places, and especially if they meet up and get together and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where this all got going. Well, then what ended up happening is because Gavin McInnes was associated with it, Antifa started attacking Proud Boys events. So the Proud Boys would go to a bar or they'd have an event. Gavin McInnes was going to be doing a show in New York. This is where the NYC 9 case comes in. For those of you not familiar with that, Gavin McInnes was going to do a reenactment. There was a Japanese person. I don't remember the names of all of this. I blogged about it, and a lot of you actually really enjoyed the blog post. There was a Japanese person, this is in the 50s or 60s, who used a katana to assassinate a Japanese communist. And he did it on stage, live on television, and everybody saw it. Okay, it's a very interesting bit of Japanese history as this was all going down. And it's a very interesting read if you haven't had an opportunity to go ahead and look into this story. So Gavin McInnes was doing a reenactment of that at a Republican club in New York. Well, Antifa got the dates wrong, and Antifa decided to go and harass everybody at this club, including an elderly woman. And Gavin McInnes wasn't there because they got the dates wrong. So then they put a note on the door and they said, "We're not here for peace or whatever, and we're here to take action, and we're going to come back for you," and that sort of thing. So 1 or 2 days later, when Gavin McInnes was actually doing the show, Antifa was there. They attacked some people that were not associated with the Proud Boys or Gavin McInnes whatsoever, including a little old Jewish lady. They threw a bunch of things when the Proud Boys and Gavin McInnes came out, and they were just making their way to a bar, a local bar, because they're all based in New York, local bar that they were going to go to. They threw urine on them, bottles of urine, glass bottles of urine. They threw rocks. They threw a bunch of other things, and some fights broke out. At one point, Antifa jumped a member of the Proud Boys. Now, you have to understand something. This is all on camera. I'm not giving you my interpretation of what happened, okay? The Proud Boys responded in kind, and they beat the tar out of these guys. Antifa lost the fight. The police are called. It's a whole thing, and what the police then asked, they asked the Proud Boys if they wanted to file charges. The Proud Boys said, no, let's just leave it as mutual combat. They asked Antifa if they wanted to file charges. And Antifa's response was, and this is on video, "F you, pig." Okay? So this is all with the NYC 9 case. Nobody wanted to file any charges. So they didn't. The police said, all right, mutual combat, it's over. You guys go your way. You guys go your way. Don't do it again. Well, the next day, the mayor of New York decided that he wanted to charge the Proud Boys with instigating this thing, even though they didn't start it. Now, you have to understand something. The police even said that Antifa started this. So the mayor forced the police to arrest members of a group that did not instigate anything. And that group was only attacked because Gavin McInnes was a member, and Antifa and the radical left have identified Gavin McInnes as a white supremacist, even though he is not. So that kind of was the flashpoint for a lot of this. There were instances where Proud Boys showed up at counter protests against Antifa and things like that, but this was pretty much the flashpoint for all of that. So now you've got the Proud Boys who have consistently said, we need to get the media to pay attention to Antifa. We know that New Jersey has labeled them a domestic terrorist organization. We know that the FBI has said that Antifa uses domestic terrorist tactics. We know that the mayor of Berkeley, who used to support Antifa, wants to declare them as a gang. And we know that other places in the country are now really strongly considering adding a label to Antifa because they're clearly not a peaceful organization. They are a militant organization that uses violence. Members of Antifa have attacked police officers. They've consistently attacked members of the press, in spite of the fact that the press has been apologetic to them and has really kind of carried their water. Now, I thought that anytime you had a group of people that attacked members of the press, that group was supposed to be vilified by the press, and yet the press is not vilifying them. The press is actually excusing their behavior. You had one member of Antifa stab a police horse repeatedly, for crying out loud. You now have not one, but 2 domestic terrorist attacks associated with members of Antifa. The Charlottesville violence was started by Antifa, and the police on the ground there have made that crystal clear. It was Antifa who started it. They were putting quick dry cement in soda cans and throwing that. They instigated the violence in Charlottesville. We all know how that ended. So this is a track record going back years of Antifa starting these violent encounters, not including, I haven't even really mentioned Berkeley, okay? The violence in Berkeley is kind of where this all birthed. This is a violent organization. If you want to label them as domestic terrorists, that would be an accurate description based on the dictionary definition. If you wanted to be like the mayor of Berkeley and say that they are a gang, that would also be accurate. This is a violent group of people who have attacked repeatedly, used violence repeatedly, have advocated violence repeatedly, have excused violence repeatedly, had at one point a plot to derail trains in one state in order to go ahead and kill people. This is not your normal group of political activists that are peaceful. That's not what Antifa is about. So the Proud Boys have been desperate to get attention on Antifa and their activity. So the Proud Boys, they had an encounter with Antifa in Oregon. There is a bar in Oregon that is an Antifa bar. It's a well-known Antifa bar. Some members of the Proud Boys went to that bar outside. Again, this is all on video, and kind of antagonized Antifa members. Now, with that said, there ended up being things thrown by Antifa, things thrown by the Proud Boys, some mutual combat fights where actually individuals were squaring up. It wasn't a free-for-all out in front, and there was just a whole host of things that happened. Now, in that particular circumstance, you can see members of the Proud Boys and members of Antifa instigating various events of violence. The problem is that the mayor of Portland only arrested and charged members of the Proud Boys, and then they charged the leader of Patriot Prayer, who is on camera not doing anything at all. So why is it that they chose to, again, only arrest one side, which is what happened in New York? So the Proud Boys decided that they were going to put a rally together in Portland. And they were just going to do basically a walk over a bridge with some flags. That's kind of it. And they were going to expose Antifa for what they were. And the Proud Boys did just that. This is a tiny little thing. The Proud Boys did their thing and they left. They weren't even there. Now, there were some Trump supporters that showed up at various places in Portland, and they were routinely and roundly attacked by members of Antifa. If you follow my Facebook page, I posted just a fraction of the video that came out of that. Then this is video of members of Antifa attacking people from behind, trying to mug a woman, trying to attack a young girl. All of these things using concrete. They smuggled concrete in there. They were hitting people with hammers. They were hitting people, obviously, with pepper spray and bear mace and a whole bunch of other weapons and things of that nature. Now, none of these people that I'm aware of were any members of the Proud Boys. It appears that Antifa did not tangle with the Proud Boys at all during the Proud Boys' little march. And the Proud Boys have declared a public relations victory as a result of this. And the reason that they did that is they didn't do anything. They just went on a little walk. And Antifa shut down a city for a whole day with violence. 13 people were arrested, all of them Antifa, every single one of them. Numerous videos of them attacking innocent people. There were some videos of members who were anti-Antifa, I should say, instigating altercations as well. None of them were associated with the Proud Boys, none. And the whole point of this was to get the entire country to focus on Antifa because they've not covered them accurately. Well, that appears to have happened. It appears to have been a success. It was a disaster over the weekend. Without a doubt, it was a complete disaster. And Antifa looks horrible. They've attacked numerous buses. They hit people with hammers. And again, it's all caught on camera. If you didn't see any of this, go to facebook.com/Casey the host. Scroll down on my timeline. I posted several videos and several pictures from what happened in Portland over the weekend. By the way, I want to thank many people on my Discord server who posted some of those as well. I took some of those as well as some from other sources. I appreciate the support and the help on Discord. So thank you for that. This is who they are. And so the Proud Boys said, mission accomplished. We did exactly what we set out to do. I'm also going to go ahead and read you a quote from Gavin McInnes before this thing happened, just to kind of illustrate that this was always the plan, was not to engage, not to get into an argument or fight with Antifa, but to let Antifa be who Antifa is, which is a violent, radical, militant organization. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of
I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range.
How's that?
Location.
That looks like it's better. You guys can hear the station though when I go on, right?
Private real estate investor who buys several houses a month and I want to buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant will pay me their rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying damaged.
I had to do a reboot today. So sometimes when I do that, my inputs get a little jacked up.
Call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
Ceramic Z-Gloss paint coating is the newest in paint coating technology and will have your car turning heads for years, literally. The Z-Gloss process begins with polishing the paint to remove any imperfections. Then we apply 3 layers, a water-shedding primer foundation, a sealer to create an adhesive bonding, and a ceramic top coat that locks
good deal.
and enhances the depth of your vehicle's gloss. This perfected paint process is hydrophobic, causing all liquids to
What's up, Dylan?
and roll off, not to mention it's scratch, UV, and chemical resistant. Aside from
How's it look out there? Does it look okay?
It requires 0
Weather-wise?
or yearly maintenance to keep your vehicle looking better than
I took the risk. I took the bike today.
has a 7-year warranty against
Supposed to be a slight chance of scattered thunderstorms at like 2-ish.
bugs, water droplets,
And then the rest of the night was supposed to be okay.
anything else nature throws at it, while providing any unmatched shine that's second to none. Z-Bart, your automotive appearance and protection experts. Visit Z-Bart of South Bend or call 574-232-2073.
Happy 50th birthday, Long John Silver's. To celebrate, we're offering all you can eat every day this week, just $7.99. Long John Silver's. Fish, yeah. Offer good August 18th through 25th. Only at participating locations. Pricing and participation may vary. See store for details.
Traffic weather every 10 minutes on the 6th and a quick wrap-up of all of the day's news reports. Sports in the morning starting at 5. Mishan 40 minutes. News Talk 25 KOC.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number, 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. We are live streaming. You can go to youtube.com/KCTheHost, facebook.com/KCTheHost, or twitch.tv/KCTheHost if you want to watch the video. Of course, if you want to stream just the audio, go to 953mnc.com or download the free 95.3 MNC app. You can also use other streaming apps if you prefer, but they don't give you all of the extras that the free 95.3 MNC app will give you. All right, so we're talking a little bit about what happened in Portland, Oregon over the weekend. Antifa, once again, this is an organization that's routinely been able to do what they want in Portland. The mayor's not addressed anything. Law enforcement's not addressed anything. There were several victims of Antifa violence over the weekend that police did not help, including members of the press, by the way. Police did take some people into custody. All 13 of those people were members of Antifa. Nobody was on the other political side at all. And they showed up armed, like they always do. They've always shown up armed. That is just kind of their MO. And they bear-maced people, assaulted people. They hit people with weapons. They used concrete. They smuggled concrete in, actually. There's video of them doing that and throwing concrete at people, including vehicles as well as individuals. So there's a lot that happened over the weekend. But Proud Boys, when they organized their little rally, the whole point was to raise awareness of who Antifa was, because the press, they ignored and praised Antifa for a while. And then with some of the stuff that happened in Berkeley, they were forced, including members of the Democratic Party, most notably Nancy Pelosi, were forced to take a step back and kind of distance themselves from Antifa. The mayor of Berkeley turned on Antifa, said they should be declared a gang. And then what ended up happening is, well, the press went right back at it, where they were supporting Antifa. You got a member of Congress who I've never heard of before saying that they are peaceful protesters, which, of course, they're not. They are a violent group of people. Anyway, to the phone lines, we have Robert. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Thank you. I just had an observation, a question about Antifa. I'm just kind of mystified that they haven't picked down the wrong person yet. Somebody's got a carry conceal permit and gotten smoked.
My feelings on this are it's a matter of time. And obviously you don't want to see that, but when you've got there's one guy on here who is defending what looks to be his teenage daughter. And there are 50, 60 members of Antifa harassing them and coming after them. And, it's one thing if you go to one of these things and you expect there to be fisticuffs, and that kind of appears to be what is happening now. But Antifa is also bringing mace and concrete and things of that. Those are deadly weapons. Well, mace can be, but it's technically a less lethal option. But concrete certainly is a deadly weapon. And if you've got, this guy here and he's got his what appears to be a teenage daughter, I don't know, I suppose it could be his girlfriend, but she looks very young. If somebody's going after her, I would have to assume that a father would defend her with a firearm if need be. And it's going to get to that point. Antifa's already picked up knives and guns. It's a matter of time before the other side does the same, because they know that Antifa's armed. And if they get surrounded, they're going to have to defend themselves. Otherwise, they're going to risk being beaten by 20, 30 people like we saw with some of the video over the weekend.
And I've always wondered, when you see these guys attacking people in their cars, if the person in the car, if they feel like they're threatened and they basically step on the accelerator and run a few of them over, I mean, is that considered justifiable?
Well, yes and no. It depends. Now, this is a really good question, because if you go back to Charlottesville, we all know that a girl lost her life in Charlottesville. Well, if you look at the video of the guy who is driving the car, who is undeniably a white supremacist, okay, he was driving a Challenger. He's driving calm and slow down this alley until somebody hits his rear driver's side taillight with a bat. That's when he accelerates and he runs through the crowd. That's where he kills the girl. And he was originally going to use that as a defense. He didn't. He pled guilty, so that never got to be argued at trial. But the video is crystal clear that that's what it shows. And so, yeah, technically you can use that as an argument sometimes, but sometimes it still goes against you. So, we've seen instances where motorcycle gangs have surrounded vehicles and people have powered through them, and those people have been let off and excused. But then you have the case in Charlottesville where that guy I think his face was life in prison, I think is what he got. But again, if you look at the video, his car was hit, and that's when he steps on the gas and accelerates. So you're still running a risk, depending on what you do.
Yeah, I would think it would depend also on the situation as far as the person involved.
100%.
If they're an elderly couple, okay. Yeah,
but to your broader point, will there be an escalation? Yes, because Trump supporters initially were not coming armed, and they were not coming to defend themselves, and they were not coming to fight. They had to, because Antifa kept attacking peaceful protests. And now we've got these two sides that show up pretty much armed anyway. And eventually they're going to start arming themselves with more and more deadly weapons as time goes on. And this is going to blow up. That's my fear. I got to run, Robert. Yeah. Appreciate the call. Thank you much. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
All right. What's up? Okay.
I'm Tommy Lee, the MNC News Center, and among this afternoon's top stories, there are not going to be any charges in a Berrien County motel fire that killed a mother and 5 of her children.
That's because the investigation determined that nothing was done intentionally to set the fire, nor was the motel operator negligent in keeping up with the property.
I don't know. I don't know if the mayor is the police commissioner in Portland or not.
Caracature and her children died when a fire started on the first floor of the building, and they were not able to get out of their second floor room on time. All of them died from smoke inhalation. In short, the fire was caused by, quote, careless use of a hot plate. But prosecutors say that does not warrant criminal charges.
careless use of a hot plate.
But prosecutors again said the building owners had done everything they were supposed to. It even noted that if Curtis had a working alarm,
What's up, Brianna? How are you?
any advanced notice of the
Thank you, Speed. Appreciate that.
And a con artist is posing as a Catholic priest to bilk parishioners out of money through an email scam.
One victim told ABC 57 that he received an email that he thought was from Father Terry Coonan of Little Flower Catholic Church in South Bend. That message sent to the parishioners said Father Terry was looking to collect donations for area women fighting breast cancer. An email chain led victims to eventually buy gift cards that couldn't be traced, with the promise that they would be reimbursed for them. Once they sent the card information, the money was gone. The prosecutor's office reminds people that these types of scams are common and to be careful what you believe online.
95.3 MNC's Heather Starr reporting.
Fox News, I'm Steve Rappaport. The police commissioner needs to know he's lost his police department.
What's up, Dean? Oh, you just typed bits? I didn't have Twitch open. It's open now. That's funny.
Is a step towards reconciliation and a step toward the building of trust.
Mayor Bill de Blasio. House Democrats Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib planning a news conference this afternoon to discuss potential policy responses after Israel banned them from entering the country.
Alrighty.
Vocal supporters of the campaign to boycott Israel.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ended up reversing course and granting Congresswoman Tlaib entry in part to visit her 9-year-old grandmother in the West.
And Speed, hey, just letting you know, I'm going to need the prepped gun back pretty soon, buddy. We've got Sacramento PD on as a contract now. They haven't finalized the paperwork, but once they do, I'm going to need to make sure I get their stuff to them. So as soon as you can would be awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Look at that. That's a nice cheer.
Sunshine through the rest of the day with temperatures warming up to 84 degrees. Chance for an isolated shower.
You sick, man?
More tonight, chance of fog. Tomorrow we'll see more
That sucks.
thunderstorms, some of which could be strong.
I'd almost rather have a head cold than a chest cold. Until I have head cold. Then I say the opposite.
Association. The Walk to End Alzheimer's returns to Michiana on September 15th. Register to walk out.
Well, knock on wood, none of our kids got sick yet the first couple of days of school, but one of my wife's clients, they had to reschedule on her because their kid got super sick, like after the first day of school.
Corn, soybeans, and wheat, and the bean market leading to the downside, losing over a dime.
What a mess.
Unhelpful rains over the weekend. And despite crop tour results not all that impressive, the markets did stay on the downside all day long. On the close, September corn 365 down 6, Dees corn 374.5, 6 1/4 lower. March 387 down a nickel and 3/4. September and November beans off 13 1/4. Sep going to 854, Novi 866.5. A nickel and a quarter lower. September wheat in Chicago 465.5. Meat markets up. October live cattle.
Take care, Tracy. Appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for the bits.
October lean hogs 64.02. I'm Andy Eubank. Who's your ag today? Timely, relevant, credible.
The Fox Business Report brought to you by Modern Kitchen, creating your dream living spaces so you can redesign, remodel, and relax. Modern Kitchen on McKinley, east of Ash Road in Elkhart.
We're going to talk about compostable fiber bowls next. Just what you all always wanted. You've got the sniffles, huh? Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it, bud. I said, no stress. It's just that Sacramento signed on. So I'm going to have to do something soon once the paperwork is signed.
Will become part of the Craft Burger collection and will start offering the Beyond Burger in its kits the week of September the 14th. The vegan burger has been on the Berlin-based company's menus in Canada since July. Beyond Meat stock has climbed.
Tracy's rubbing it in. You're rubbing that gold badge in.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken
Oh,
Loans
nice, Robbie.
fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to...
The last time Antifa had a thing here, there was half a dozen people who showed. So there doesn't appear to be a big Antifa presence in Michiana.
We're definitely coming back.
Who says weekdays are all work and no play?
I do know of some people in local politics who are Antifas, but to my knowledge, I don't think they actually go out and do anything.
Plus, it's Silver Sluggers Night. Adults ages 55 and older can purchase a discounted ticket to the game. Presented by St. Joseph.
It should be parties every night, Sam, and walking around naked. You finally get the house to yourself after 18 years? Heck yeah, man.
Light up the night with fantastic fireworks after the game. Presented by
Roll with it.
Bank and WNDU TV. Plus, take a swing at the first.
Did everybody see the new motovlog was up?
Enjoy the view from the United Federal Credit Union rooftop, or let the kids bounce and play at the Toyota Fun Zone.
You know, Robbie, party or drink a whole bottle of scotch by yourself, whatever. Whatever floats your boat, man.
Where everyone comes to play.
It's that time of year again. Make plans to join Southwest Vision Center for the 6th annual designer.
Has anybody live streamed themselves going from sober to drunk? Has anybody done that? That seems like that could be a good PSA.
People have done drunk streams, yeah.
But they've gone from sober to drunk? Or they just been drunk and then they start the stream? Like drunken history.
Start sober and they just start drinking while doing something.
That seems like that would be a good time.
You're used to stepping up and answering the call, protecting and serving as a member of our armed forces. Now the state of Indiana wants to...
Yeah, that camera is not great. So today, that camera is mounted on the front, faces my helmet. So that way, occasionally you can get a shot where I'm looking directly at the camera. And then the GoPro is mounted back on my helmet like it was. So you get the better video for the primary video feed. And the new camera handles the audio. So I haven't had a chance to look at the footage yet. So I'm hoping that my vision comes to fruition and it all works well.
Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey.
Trump wine's pretty good. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. I do want to thank our sponsor, SecondAmendmentArms.net. And again, if you mention me, you get half off your range time. And they have 10 dedicated shooting lanes, rifle and pistol with rentals indoors, so you can get out of the weather. Okay, I'm going to do some text messages here, and then I'm going to tell you about a new study on compostable fiber bowls. So the reason I'm obviously I want to show some love to the people who send me text messages, but there's also some really relevant questions here and statements. Casey, when I listened to the news this weekend, all I heard was how the extreme right and the extreme left were fighting with each other, and that the left was Antifa. They didn't say who had brought the bear spray or anything else. They made it sound as though the people who support Trump are the ones causing the trouble and bringing stuff in to fight. Thanks for being real. Yeah, no, and look, there were members who were pro-Trump who showed up. You have to understand something. Anytime Antifa announces they're going to be somewhere now, there's going to be a protest against Antifa now with people on the political right. Okay, so that wasn't the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys didn't get involved. From what I understand, the Proud Boys were not involved in any skirmish whatsoever. That no members were involved in any fights. That Antifa didn't attack them. Antifa stayed away from them. That they didn't engage. But there were other people who showed up who were on the political right, pro-Trump, that sort of thing. And I watched many videos of those people be blindsided, attacked out of nowhere. I watched them try to mug a woman whose husband defended her, and then he was attacked by like 12 people. So I watched a lot of those videos. I posted a lot of them. Again, facebook.com/Casey the host. You can look at them there. You can see them attacking buses and things of that nature. So when you look at what has been happening, though, it started off with peaceful Trump protests, pro-Trump protests in Berkeley, and Antifa would show up and then attack them. And there would be these physical fights. Well, then what started happening is the Trump supporters started arming themselves for self-defense. That's when you had that based stick man. That guy showed up with a shield and a stick, and he was the first one to repel an Antifa attack on peaceful Trump supporters. And then, because a lot of that was protesting free speech issues on Berkeley campus. They weren't allowing conservative speakers there and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of how all this got going. Then Antifa just started attacking people. So now you've got both sides who kind of show up with pepper spray, sticks, shields, things like that. And these battles take place. A lot of times they're fist on fist. Sometimes they're wearing, armored gloves. Sometimes they have sticks and pepper spray and that sort of thing. But Antifa is the one that primarily instigates these altercations almost all the time. And that's going to blow up. At some point in time, you're going to have issues with this. Like I said, members of Antifa have already stabbed police horses. They've already engaged in stabbings, shootings, firebombings, that sort of stuff. It's just a matter of time before the other side, defends himself by escalating it. And then you get this escalation until people die. That's where we're at. And nobody wants to see that happen, okay? But it is getting to that point. What do we have here? We might be coming to the point where another Kent state happens and these idiots go home and grow up. Maybe. But again, that's not exactly something that we want to see. This just popped in. Motorcycle accident at the intersection of Middlebury Street and County Road 17. Thank you for the update. Again, motorcycle accident at the intersection of Middlebury Street and County Road 17. Coming up next, we're going to talk about compostable fiber bowls. There's a new study on these things, and it's not surprising to me. It might be surprising to some of you. We'll talk about that coming up on 95.3 MNC.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
Areas of fog this morning could slow down your morning commute.
Let's see.
We'll have a mix of sun and clouds with temperatures heating up to 84 degrees. Feeling a little bit
Somebody had
muggy at
asked.
times. We still have a chance for an isolated shower or storm. Most of us, though, will stay dry. For your Tuesday forecast, we get up to 86, feeling a little closer to the low 90s with the muggy conditions. We'll have isolated showers and thunderstorms look a little bit more likely once we get past the afternoon and into the evening hours. Late evening especially is when it looks the most likely. And then we'll have a few more showers and thunderstorms on Wednesday as a cold front makes its way through, knocking our daytime high down to 80 and then down to 74 for both Thursday and Friday. And we'll set out for the rest of the week with plenty of sunshine. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
The station to turn to when the weather turns bad.
Funny you should say that, Stymie, because reports leading into this were that Antifa members are planning on dressing up as Trump supporters and starting violence. Which would be the latest version of political violent blue dogging. I don't know if they actually did it, but that was the report that they were planning on doing that.
Avoid seeking shelter under bridges. 95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
Next to your house, your vehicle is one of your biggest investments, and it's important to routinely take care of it.
Robbie has a patient. What does Robbie do? Does anybody know?
Change out a light bulb or two.
What kind of a patient are we talking about?
The outside look just as flawless. Parkwood Auto Spa on Edison Road in Mishawaka and Ireland Road in South Bend can make sure your ride looks pristine and gleaming. They're also home of the buy 5, get 3 free. For every 5 washes you buy, you'll receive 3 free. So whether you, your spouse's, or your kid's vehicle needs a wash, there's plenty to go around. Or for only $15.95 a month, you can get an unlimited amount of washes. For that, there's no reason you won't have.
So we've got 6 people watching on Twitch, so hello. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the like.
Parkwood Auto Spa in Mishawaka and South Bend, and online at parkwoodautospot.com.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand opening ceremony, it's the
So remember how I told you that they hadn't sent me the contract information and that everybody was going to freak out? First thing John came in had a chat with me about today. Everybody's freaking out. What's going on? I'm like, it's literally the same thing that I told you before. Like, I just need the details of it. Yeah. All over 2 buildings now.
Your dreams are reality and can step in at any time to assess your project with a level of unmatched precision that throws guesswork out the window. We believe in positive results through positive people, and we're positive that we can help you with your commercial or industrial project.
Did I say blue dogging? I meant bird dogging. Sorry. Sorry. It's a Monday. Meant to say bird dogging.
Guesswork out of your project and help you sleep easy. You've got better things to do. Let us hook you up. Find Final Phase Electric on Facebook or visit finalphaseelectric.net.
On Twitch?
We guide you through the entire purchase, the selections.
I mean, you should just be able to go into your settings.
That, oh my, there's so many options, it gets confusing, we're not sure what to do. We help guide you through that process. We don't dictate. We listen to what you're telling us. Okay, I want a sofa that's 78 inches. I want this. And a lot of times we'll say, well, it would really help if we saw the room. We'll come out to the house and help you.
Yeah, it's in your settings. So on Twitch, click on your icon, go to settings, and then go to security and privacy. And it gives you an option to edit your email and your password and everything there.
We're trying to give you a finished product that reflects you. Come in, look at what we have, see what we have to offer. And we would love
So again, click on your icon on the top right, go down to settings, and then go to security and privacy. And it'll let you edit your email.
Louis Dreyfus and Clay Poole happy to announce the return of Grain Marketing 101 classes for area producers. We'll lay out basics and flat price and delivery and knowing who your buyer is. We'll look at every type of contract that's available. And new for this year, the next level grain marketing class. Futures and options in Grain Marketing 201. Space in 10 county classes January through March is limited. So call me at 574-566-2113 for more information or to enroll.
Happy 50th birthday, Long John Silver's. To celebrate, we're offering all you can eat every day this week, just $7.99.
Well, Dean, if you need electrical, call Final Phase Electric and tell them that I sent you. Final Phase Electric. They're the studio sponsor, actually.
From News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. A listener sent me a notice that there is a motorcycle accident at the intersection of Middlebury Street and County Road 17. So I appreciate the info. I don't have any other details on that, but obviously when it's a motorcycle accident, you want to make sure that you give yourself some time to have that clear because they are often serious. I don't know if this one is. But again, motorcycle accident at the intersection of Middlebury Street and County Road 17. Traffic is driven by R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. A study has found that molded fiber bowls, touted as the ecological savior, quote, in takeout restaurant chains and salad bars, contains potentially hazardous chemicals that do not biodegrade naturally and thus make compost more toxic. Why do we keep running into these stories where the so-called green option is actually the dirtier option? Testing by the New Food Economy reveals an industry secret, according to Joe Fassler, who is an editor. All fiber bowls contain PFAS, okay, a troubling class of chemicals with no known half-life, even when they're certified compostable. How can you be certified as compostable if you have no known half-life? As the report observes, the fiber bowls are popular at chains such as Chipotle, Sweet Green, and Whole Foods, and are the biggest culinary star in the past 5 years. That's a quote. Though they bear a dark secret of the environmental responsibility movement that suggests closer investigation of that movement is warranted. Here's the thing about greenies. Greenies like to rush to do something, and they do it based on feelings and so-called common sense. They don't do it on sound science and research. So they see something that looks like it's organic and fibrous, and so, well, that's better than plastic. I'm going to go with that because it's got to be all natural and organic, right? Now, they don't know what the research behind it is, and then pretty soon that just takes off and people just start doing it, right? Sweet Green in particular, the author notes, has advertised its takeout containers are 100% compostable. In fact, somebody hit them up on Twitter. How about compostable bowls? They sell online for 10 cents each. This is back in 2017. I'd come more often if they weren't plastic, thank you. Well, Sweet Green responded to that person. All our takeout bowls, utensils, straws, and napkins are 100% compostable. While that message suggests that Sweet Green's bowls dissipate quickly and harmlessly into the environment, the very opposite is true. PFAS are colloquially called forever chemicals for a reason. You might only handle your salad bowl for 5 minutes, but the chemicals inside it, as far as we know, will stick around for countless generations. And again, keep in mind that the science on this is still relatively new. We don't know the half-life. So once we get the half-life, we can estimate how long it takes something to actually break down in the environment. Fassler also explains items tagged as environmentally friendly may be overlooked when it comes to the long-range health of humans. If molded fiber bowls have become a kind of status symbol in the restaurant world, conferring a fuzzy sense of corporate, social, and environmental responsibility onto the companies that use them, is probably because they've been positioned as an antidote to the industry's alarm takeout waste problem. Many varieties are explicitly pitched to food service buyers as compostable, certified by third-party assessors like Biodegradable Products Institute, BPI. Unlike styrofoam clamshells or wax-lined soup cups, fiber products feel like they turn into mush on a leaf pile. They seem to offer convenience without the karmic debt, a way to eat that leaves no trace. And again, it's not based on science. It's based on the feeling. Now, here's the thing. They try to use common sense, right? It's a mythical common sense. It's just like, well, look, it's fibers. It's not plastic, it's fibers. This is like all natural stuff. You know, you put it basically looks like it's a planter, for crying out loud. You know those fibered planter shells that you get and you just kind of stick them inside your planter and that becomes the soil? That's what these things look like. So people, that's just the same thing, right? The problem is it's not the same thing. Now, if you pause and breathe and think about it for just a second, you would understand this. If it broke down that quickly, then it wouldn't be safe or reasonable for you to use as some kind of a dish for your food, especially if there's a possibility of you using it for a leftovers dish. So there must be a way to keep it from breaking down. So then you have to ask yourself, what is the way that they keep it from breaking down? What's on there that keeps it from turning into soggy mush and things like that in my hands and in my refrigerator within 24 to 48 hours? And the answer must be some kind of a coating. Well, then you have to look at what kind of coating is on there. Is it a wax coating? Is it something else like maybe a PFAS chemical? And that's exactly what is on these things. And the problem is that, again, they're called forever chemicals for a reason. But people don't stop to think about that. I don't know a sector of our society that is more knee-jerk and reactionary when it comes to new things than the greenie movement is. So they see something out there and they just immediately all bandwagon on it. They write blogs about it. They will defend it religiously and with a religious vigor, by the way. It's dogmatic, really. But they don't understand any of the science behind any of it. It's very interesting to see how this happens. These products, for reasons that have slipped under the radar until recently, are instead contributing to a growing environmental crisis. Experts say that all molded fiber bowls contain the potentially hazardous PFAS chemicals that are not biodegradable, thus making compost possibly even more toxic than with the materials that are unpopular with the environmentally responsible crowd. The PFAS, they say, never break down, not in 5 years, not in 500 years. In its study, the New Food Economy tested fiber bowls from 14 locations of 8 different New York City restaurants. Researchers found all of the samples tested contained high levels of fluorine, which chemical experts say is indicative of treatments with PFAS compounds, these substances that allow the fiber bowls to hold hot and greasy food without breaking down in your hands. So again, you've got one other environmental greeny niche sort of a trend that has turned out to be less environmentally friendly than the standard options that are offered before. It's kind of like the paper bag movement. We went from paper to plastic, back to paper, because people are saying, well, paper bags are more environmentally friendly. It turns out they're not more environmentally friendly. In fact, paper bags are worse for the environment than plastic bags are. And this appears to be the next evolution of that. All right, folks, we got a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. Watch the live streams, facebook.com/Casey the Host, twitch.tv/Casey the Host, and youtube.com/Casey the Host.
WTRC FM and HD1.
I'll go grab a refill of my coffee and I'll be right back.
Your top stories right now.
Fired over a chokehold. I'm Rich Edison, Fox News. Just over 5 years after Eric Garner died as New York police tried to take him into custody, the officer involved in the arrest attempt was fired today. Fox's Gernal Scott joins us live.
Rich, NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill fired Officer Daniel Pantaleo after saying his restraint of Garner turned into an illegal chokehold, leading to Garner's death. But the head of the Police Benevolent Association, Pat Lynch, said what the commissioner believes should have happened is unrealistic.
That 4 seconds you're going to reevaluate a moving situation is just absolutely not truthful and not true.
Lynch calls for a no-confidence vote against O'Neill. Garner's family says they're happy with the firing, but 5 years later is 5 years too late. Rich.
Gernal, a shakeup in leadership at the Bureau of Prisons following the suicide of accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein while in federal custody. Attorney General William Barr reassigning the acting director of prisons, installing Dr. Kathleen Hawk Sawyer, who held the post previously from 1992 until 2003.
Attorney General William Barr saying there were serious irregularities at the Metropolitan Correctional Center that allowed for Jeffrey Epstein to hang himself in a suicide, according to the autopsy report.
Fox's Brian Dennis. Explosion at a secretive naval weapons testing range that has prompted international concern about radiation leaks. Several people were killed and injured in the August 8th incident, though the exact number is yet unclear. An upswing on Wall Street on news of renewed trade talks with China. The Dow gaining 249 points, the S&P 35 points higher, the NASDAQ closing with a 107-point gain. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Michiana's breaking news at weather station. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, and 95.3 MNC.com.
I'm Tommy Lee in the MNC News Center, and among our top stories this afternoon, police in Bremen arrested 2 people on drug charges following a report of suspicious activity. Saturday night, they arrived at an apartment building at the intersection of East Plymouth and South Alexander. The 2 suspects went into the building when they saw the police arrive, only to run out of the other side.
I got some germ killer right there. Oh, I'm just, you can huff it if you want. Just spray it into your lungs.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll work.
Yep, because there aren't any good bacteria in your body at all. Zero
Nope.
zilch,
Nope. All bacteria is bad. Prove me wrong.
I can't. I am not an expert.
Let's do an experiment. We'll document it. We'll live stream it. Oh, I meant to do it on you.
Why do it on me?
Because I have to be in charge of recording everything.
The state does not have the necessary drugs to execute any of the 8 men who are currently on death row.
They fired the dude, the cop.
Yeah, I saw. That was coming. We knew that was going to happen.
5 years.
Well, he was.
The drug supply became a problem. Capital punishment was waning in Indiana. Huntington County Prosecutor Amy Richardson says lawmakers in 1993 started to allow life in prison without parole as a sentence in capital cases. Attorney General Curtis Hill says the lengthy appeals process has led to a lot of people dying in prison of natural causes than through execution.
That's 95.3 MNC's Nick Duranick.
Weather sponsored by
The Prime Table Kids. Cool off from the summer heat. Come in for crisp salads and fresh fruit plates.
Now, Home Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' first warning forecasts.
Mostly clear and falling into the mid-60s Tuesday night. A little humid and a chance of showers early Tuesday. But the focus will be on scattered showers and thunderstorms again Tuesday afternoon. A low-level severe threat of heavy rain and gusty wind with highs in the mid-80s. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs.
The day's top local news, updated around the clock, plus live streaming audio at 953mnc.com. From News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
You're a good person. You round up at the register. You help family and friends.
Well, it probably helps if I switch you to the damn commercial thing instead of talking to everybody.
South Bend Medical Foundation. Whether you're a new donor or a donor who decides to donate more often, donate this month and receive your choice of a $10 gas card or a $10
I didn't
hospital
switch to the commercial feed. Sorry.
You can be a silent hero for the community. Local hospitals depend on blood donations from the South Bend.
I can sense it. It's going to be a week.
Situations and for patients in need. Donating is easy and only takes a few moments. It shows you care about your community. Give more. Make an appointment today at one of our donor centers or mobile drive locations most convenient to you. Call 234-1157 or log on to givebloodnow.com. Your choice of a gas
Here
card
we go.
or Hacienda gift card by donating blood to save lives. Go to givebloodnow.com.
For Greenland.
From the final phase
Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Once again, we are getting reports of there being an accident at 17 in Middlebury. Latest report is that the rider who was on the motorcycle is a little banged up, but they are okay. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for the update. We appreciate it. But again, the accident is at 17 in Middlebury, so expect some slowdowns over there. All right. We do want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. Don't forget, kids shoot free on Wednesdays with a shooting parent. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. All right. Greenland. CBS News had to ask the president about Greenland. Are you really trying to buy Greenland? Go ahead and cue my audio. Let's hear what the president had to say, because the way that the news was reporting it was like he was really pushing to try and take over Greenland. I told everybody, kind of calm down a little bit. I don't know if it had ever even come up, if it was true or not, but CBS News did ask the president if he was trying to buy Greenland. Here's how he responded.
Well, Greenland, I don't know, it got released somehow. It's just something we talked about. Denmark essentially owns it. We're very good allies with Denmark. We protect Denmark like we protect large portions of the world. So the concept came up, and I said, certainly strategically it's interesting, and we'd be interested, but we'll talk to them a little bit. It's not number one on the burner, I can tell you that. Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things could be done. It's hurting Denmark very badly because they're losing almost $700 million a year carrying it. So they carry it at a great loss. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will. In fact, I'm supposed to stop. I'm thinking about going there. I'm not definitely going there, but I may be going. We're going to Poland, and then we may be going to Denmark. Not for this reason at all, but we're looking at it. It's not number one on the burner.
Okay, so CBS basically said, hey, any truth to the rumors that you're talking about buying Greenland? He's like, yeah, I don't even know how they got leaked. He's like, it was something that kind of came up. And you get the impression that it came up kind of in passing. Now, Greenland is extremely important strategically for our battle plans and everything with Europe. Like I said, anybody who served in the military when Airland Battle 2000 was the primary doctrine to repel Soviet invasion of Europe, you all understand that very well. So it did come up. He said, hey, yeah, I would certainly seriously consider it. And he's right. I mean, we talked about the numbers last week. Denmark spends about $700 million a year subsidizing Greenland. So Greenland's economy is primarily fish. They do have natural resources. Uranium is one of them. So there's a pretty big uranium industry there. The United States needs uranium. It's one of the few things that we don't have a lot of. We don't have a lot of uranium, which is, again, one of the reasons the Uranium One scandal was such a big deal and didn't make any sense. It didn't make sense to sell uranium to the Russians when we have to import uranium right now anyway. Why would we get rid of it? So Greenland does have that. They do have some natural resources. Greenland was out there saying, look, we're not for sale last week. That's what they were saying. But they said that the president was right to be excited about the prospect of doing business with Greenland. And then he touted a bunch of things that are really good about doing business with Greenland. They used it as an opportunity to pitch themselves to the rest of the world, which is smart on their part. So it is strategically very important to the United States and its foreign policy interests. It does have resources, including uranium, which is very important to the United States. And Denmark, which is not exactly an economic powerhouse and not a very rich country. They do fine, don't get me wrong. They're just not wealthy. They spend between $600 and $700 million a year subsidizing Greenland. So Greenland, about 50% of its economy comes from fish and industry. Most of that is fish. And then the other 50% comes as basically a welfare check from Denmark. So if this ends up being a concern for Denmark, if Denmark looks at it and says, we're tired of paying for Greenland, yeah, it's nice to have it, and obviously it's strategically important and everything else, but it's $700 million a year that we could be using for other programs, perhaps they would be for sale. Who knows? Greenland may decide that they don't want somebody to have control over them at that point. It may not be in their best interest. They may not be a state. They might be a territory or something of that nature, like a Puerto Rico. But, who knows? But again, the president did admit, yeah, it came up. We talked about it, and I would seriously consider it, but it's not a priority. It's not something that we're seriously considering. It was just something that kind of came up, and I was asked if I would be interested in it, and I said, yeah, why not? It's an interesting deal. So the papers, as I suspected last week with this whole, he's pushing to, they made it seem like he was going to try and conquer Greenland, and not by military force, but use the threat of military force in order to, none of that appears to be the case. It warned you against that last week, not to buy into that, but the president did acknowledge that it came up. And that was one thing that I wasn't sure of. He's talked about it in the past on social media before he was a candidate. He's talked about the United States acquiring Greenland, but I wasn't even sure if it was a real story, if he'd even considered it, or if it was a joke. And remember, some of the insiders who did leak this said, some of them were more serious conversations, but most of them were pretty, tongue-in-cheek. They were jokes, that sort of thing, that we'd be buying Greenland. But the president did acknowledge that it came up, and it would be something that he would consider, but it's not something that is even remotely on the radar, and it's certainly not being seen as a priority at this point in time. And again, Greenland says that they're not for sale. So, ultimately, I would assume at the end of the day, Greenland has veto power over what happens with it. But I don't know how the intricacies of ceasing to become a territory of another country works. To be perfectly honest with you, it doesn't happen all that much. Somebody sent this on my Discord server. So once again, if you would like to join Discord, the link is in the live stream description right now. And the Horde on Discord is a lot of fun. They are also very informed and do a lot of link posting in the tips section. YouTube is changing how some copyright claims work. So I read that part, and that was the part that cut off on the link that I saw. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am routinely hit with copyright claims that are frivolous on YouTube. And I know that there are other people out there who get it far worse than me. In fact, there's this guy, he's a streamer in Sweden who an entire company has taken over his stream simply because of frivolous copyright claims. Now, what that means is that no ad revenue goes to him. It all goes to this company. So if I have audio, like my bumper music, this is what I usually get hit with. Battle Without Honor Humanity, which plays at the half hours of this show, that is the one that I get hit with the most. The interesting thing about that is Tomiyasu Hotai, who composed that piece, told me that I could use it. And so I'm consistently, first of all, I'm not violating any rules anyway by using it as bumper music. There is fair use. It is FCC compliant. There's nothing that YouTube should be able to do to go ahead and censor that. But I also have, in addition to that, Tomiyasu Hotai telling me that he liked that I was using his music for my show. YouTube doesn't care about any of that. The algorithm just hits it, and so I get either an ad on my live stream or my live streams get blocked. Okay, so this happens with great frequency on YouTube. Less so on Facebook. Never happens on Twitch. So YouTube is changing the copyright claims, and I looked at it, all right, well, maybe it's going to get better for me. And then I read the second half of it, and it could result in more blocked content. Well, son of a... All right, so here's what's happening. Well, actually, I got to take a quick time out. I'm going to tell you what's happening. For those of you who do YouTube and are interested in this, it looks like we may have some additional issues and problems involving copyright claims on YouTube going forward. So we'll talk about that and much more up next on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Wondering about the...
There we go. I actually flipped over to the right screen today, or this time. And just like that, I have invalid credentials on my pop-up chat. The pop-up chat that's been working, all of a sudden there's invalid credentials.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 25 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table
As I'm talking about censorship.
or dinner.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
A chance of storms Tuesday, then the mugginess will subside as we end the week. Scattered showers and thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon. High 86. There is a low severe threat. Highs around
All right.
80 on
Chat's working again.
starts.
Good Lord.
Clear through the afternoon. Sunshine on Thursday, big difference. 75, 74 on Friday. Lows will be in the 50s. Much lower humidity as we end the week. Saturday still sunny, looking nice with a high of 76. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs.
There is always something with YouTube. It never fails. It logged me out again. So it worked. And then it logged me out.
The ayes are 67, the nays are 28, and the bill is passed.
Right now, no one's worried about the deficit and the debt. There's a day of reckoning with this.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
When you use every day, year after year, you have fallen so far that you can't see the light of day. You give up all hope.
YouTube does suck.
I think the only way
But it's also
is somebody sticks a ladder up.
the widest reaching platform to do this. So
Coming out of the darkness and coming back into the light.
I looked at Mixer. There's a couple of people who do political streams on Mixer, and it's like a full-time troll job for whoever's running your stream. They are all over So I think the Mixer community has decided that they're going to go after anybody who streams politics on the platform.
It gave me structure. It gave me a platform for me to change. It amazes me that it works. And I'm amazed with the happiness and joy that I feel in my heart every day.
This is Casey Weed.
Angry Vet was deleted.
Financial, where our sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day.
And that's the thing, like Instagram kind of left everybody alone, even though it was a Facebook property, and all of a sudden they've been going after Instagram real bad.
You'll face in retirement. You are unique, and we're willing to put in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan that's tailored just for you. Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559. We're here to talk about you. 866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, or just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try.
Do you think the
Babbel for free.
Babbel.com
Babbel starts out
lessons
teaching you
are
words
really
and
just
phrases
15
by
minutes
matching
long?
them with pictures. You won't believe
At a
how
time?
easy the interactive program
Think so?
is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having
interested.
simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language
I want to just
experts,
speak
it
Russian
uses
an
the
entire
speech
show one day
repetition
and freak
method.
everybody
In
out.
just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice.
No,
with
he wouldn't.
confidence. With Babbel, you can
I'll do it
speak
when
a
he's on
language.
vacation.
Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Happy 50th birthday, Long John Silver's. To celebrate, we're offering all you can eat every day this week, just $7.99. Long John Silver's. Fish, yeah. Offer good August 18th through 25th. Only at participating locations. Pricing and participation may vary. See store.
Only at participating locations, but it's Long John Silver's birthday. Wouldn't that be like a required thing for your franchise?
You would think.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. Got an update on that motorcycle accident earlier at the intersection of County Road 17 at Middlebury. Somebody says they just drove through the intersection a couple of minutes ago, did not see any officers, and traffic appeared to have resumed to a normal flow. Thank you for the updates. I really do appreciate that. We don't always get those updates, but they're very, very helpful. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. And again, traffic is driven by R&B Car Company. Locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. So YouTube is changing how it handles copyright claims around brief and unintentional clips of music in an attempt to make the system fairer to video creators. Now, we already know what happens anytime YouTube tries to make things fairer. Things get more unfair. In the short term, however, YouTube warns that the changes could lead to more videos being blocked entirely. Creators on YouTube have increasingly struggled with record labels claiming copyrights on their videos when snippets of music appear momentarily in the background, like from the radio of a car passing by. YouTube's new rules don't stop these claims from happening, but they attempt to discourage the claims by removing a key incentive for copyright holders, the ability to make money. And so this is really what ends up happening. You know, if you have music on there, like my bumper music, for example, I'm allowed to use the bumper music for fair use. Okay. Nobody can claim that I'm stealing their copyrighted materials or anything like that. But if they make the claim, it gets slapped onto the channel, it gets slapped onto that video, and then an ad might play when you watch the video. Well, that ad revenue goes towards whoever owns the music. It doesn't go to me. So if you see an ad there, it simply goes to whoever owns that music, okay? Now, I can fight that And I win every one of my copyright claims, just so you know. I get several a week, and I win every single one. The problem is it takes weeks to get them resolved oftentimes. So there'll be weeks that go by, and they'll finally release a copyright claim on an old video, which you guys haven't been able to watch or has had people watch, and there's been an ad on it or something like that. I obviously don't benefit from that. And I wouldn't benefit from it anyway. So a lot of times now, since I can't make money on YouTube because they've demonetized my account, if an ad does get slapped on there, I don't even bother going through the dispute process because I wouldn't make money on it anyway. So if the person who created the music wants to go ahead and make some revenue off of that, I'm okay with it. They did create the music, and since I can't make any money with it anyway, I rarely fight it. When they block my videos, though, that's where I will go ahead and issue my complaint. Now, when a copyright claim is manually filed, the very short clips of music or for very short clips of music or for music that is unintentionally playing in the background of a video clip, the rights holder will no longer be allowed to earn money from ads placed on the video. Instead, they will have to choose between leaving the video up and blocking the creator from making money or blocking the video entirely. That's the issue. So whereas they used to be able to insert an ad, so they hear 15 seconds of a piece of music that runs on my bumper music. So that 15 seconds will allow them to go ahead and slap an ad on my channel so they make money with that music. Okay. Now what they're going to do is have to make a choice. Either they will block the video altogether, which means now my video will not be viewable for anybody. It'll be just completely blocked. Facebook does this. Facebook's also really quick about their turnaround time when you challenge something too. So Facebook will block my ads, and they'll send me a little notification, or my videos. They'll send me a little notification that Facebook has blocked your video in 130 some odd countries or whatever it is. And then the other option is they can leave the video up but block the creator from making any money with it. So it's entirely their choice. Well, most of the time they're going to choose block the video because they don't want somebody making money with stuff that they say that they own, right? Even though it might be fair use. It's not a perfect solution. YouTube's hope is that by removing the ability to make money off of these tiny snippets or accidental clips, record labels will spend less time searching them out and instead just choose to leave creators alone. The trouble is there's no guarantee that that is going to happen. Record labels could keep up the pressure and choose to block the videos entirely. That's where we start running into a problem. Record labels are notoriously dishonest. They will file frivolous copyright claims routinely, and they will look at the battle that radio has had with record labels and artists over the years. So your radio is free, obviously, and the music plays for free. And if you get played on the radio, what that is advertising for your music. So you're getting somebody with wide reach to play your stuff, and you did not have to pay them to do that. Well, what ended up happening is now you started having record labels and artists say, well, radio stations should pay us for every time they play our song. They should pay us for playing the song. No, it's actually supposed to be the other way around. But there has been this mutual treaty between the two sides. Radio says, we want content, obviously, so we can go ahead and get listeners and then sell advertising. And in the meantime, you need people to discover who you are, and you want them to listen to your music, so that way they go out and buy your music and go to your concerts and buy your merchandise. So let's go ahead and have a trade. You give us your music. If it's good enough for us to play on the air, we will. Those people will now hear your songs and then go buy your albums and buy your merchandise and buy tickets to your show. And that has always been a great arrangement. Well, then, a bunch of already multi-millionaire artists out there looking square at you, Metallica, are saying, no, you should pay us because people want to hear our music, and therefore you should pay us every time you play our songs. Okay. If nobody plays your songs, what happens to you? Ask Limp Bizkit. They disappeared. Do you know why? They made everybody angry and people stopped playing their music. Great band. Phenomenally talented. At one point in time, was the most influential musical group in the entire country. And now they're still out there, apparently. I didn't realize they were still out there, but they're still out there. Okay, I don't know who Limp Bizkit is. How about the Dixie Chicks? The Dixie Chicks are still a band. They still play shows. It's just that they play like state fairs and stuff, and that's it. Nobody books them for anything else. Why? Because they went on an anti-America, anti-Bush rant, and then country music stations, which primarily have a conservative audience, stopped playing Dixie Chicks songs because there was a huge boycott of Dixie Chicks music. So their career was over. So again, if your music is not played on the radio, nobody buys your stuff. Okay, so you have YouTube now. Yeah, you can make a little scratch on YouTube. You're not going to build a career out of it. The jump is to get noticed on YouTube, get an album, and then get on radio. That's what it is. In fact, my new moto vlog that's going to come out here in the next couple of days is radio dying? Because that's a common question that I get quite a bit. And the answer to that is very simply no, not even remotely close. In fact, it's growing. If you look at the internet, television, and radio has far more reach than either of the other two. Did you know that every single day radio hits 92% of Americans every single day? That means every single day, 92% of Americans hear radio at some point. That is not the case with social media, and that is not the case with television. In fact, it's not even close. And most of you in my audience don't even engage in social media, so it's probably more understood in my audience than it would be in maybe a younger demographic audience. But 92% of the country listens to the radio every day. 92%. So if you can't tap into that market as a musical artist, well, you're just not going to get noticed. And so what we have is we have record labels now looking at everybody who's doing all of these things with their music, including radio stations who use music as bumper music. Now, bumper music is considered fair use. We are allowed to play music on our shows. Okay, we are not required to pay any money for using that stuff. It is considered fair use for us. It's all regulated by the FCC. So when I play my bumper music, it can be any music that I want, and I don't have to pay a bill. It's not like I'm using it in a Hollywood feature film where I have to pay royalties and things of that nature. But where can they get me? On the internet. So they will use YouTube to go ahead and put these things on there to get ad revenue and try and subsidize their profits, even though they technically can't come after me. And YouTube is just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, because we want all of your celebrity music artists on our platform and getting us traffic. So it's really interesting how this all works out. So my gut will tell me that you are going to see a lot of record labels start blocking videos altogether rather than leave them alone until, of course, the practice becomes cost prohibitive. Or you will see record labels who do not want to be associated with certain types of channels blocking those channels only while allowing other people to use their music and their content without blocking them, which could, again, lead into a censorship situation. It all depends. And I'm sure that if you've got an artist who leans one way politically and the artist finds out that somebody's using their music, that artist will go to their record label and say, block this channel from using my stuff, and they will go and target specific channels. For instance, Green Day is used by a lot of talk show hosts, but Green Day is a hugely liberal group. And if they don't like the idea that conservatives might be using their music, then they can just go block that person's channel or that person's video. So be prepared for this to blow up in everybody's face, even though it was designed to limit these sorts of frivolous accusations. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Despotic, my man. Thank you. I appreciate that sub. 'Tis awesome.
Among this afternoon's top stories, there are not going to be any charges in a Berrien County motel fire that killed a mother and 5 of her children.
That's because the investigation determined that nothing was done intentionally to set the fire, nor was the motel operator negligent in keeping up with the property. On July 28th, 2018, 26-year-old Kiara died when a fire started on the first floor of the building, and they were not able to get out of their second floor room on time. All of them died from smoke inhalation. In short, the fire was caused by, quote, careless use of a hot plate. The prosecutors say that does not warrant criminal charges. There had been some talk about fire alarms at the building, but prosecutors again said the building owners had done everything they were supposed to. They noted that if Curtis had a working alarm...
Sorry, I got to check on something real quick for a customer.
That's 95.3 MNC's Carl Stutzman. And a con artist accused is posing as a Catholic priest to bilk parishioners out of money through an email scam.
One victim told ABC 57 that he received an email that he thought was from Father Terry Coonan of Little Flower Catholic Church in South Bend. That message, sent to the parishioners, said Father Terry was looking to collect donations for area women fighting breast cancer. An email chain led victims to eventually buy gift cards that couldn't be traced, with the promise that they would be reimbursed for them. Once they sent the card information, the money was gone. The prosecutor's office reminds people that these types of scams are common and to be careful what you believe online.
95.3 MNC's Heather Starr reporting.
Fox News signs Steve Rappaport, declaring him no longer fit to serve. Today is a day of reckoning, but can also be a day of reconciliation. NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill fired the officer who used the banned chokehold that led to the death of Eric Garner. We must move forward together determined to secure safety for all New York.
I'm missing one of my. Hey Tracy, welcome back. I'm missing one of my molds for one of my guns. It's driving me nuts. It's been in my shop, and somebody ordered it, and so now I'm going through and looking for the stupid mold, and it's not there, and I don't know where in the world it walked off to. So I'm going to have an interesting evening tearing everything apart in the basement and the garage. Even though I cleaned up the entire garage today, I'm just going to go through it again because I know it's in there. I've seen it in there. But
Weather sponsored by
The Grind Table Kid. Come in for your favorite breakfast.
that's funny, Alex. That's funny.
No, I do.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals for morning forecasts.
Mostly clear and falling into the mid-60s Tuesday night. A little humid and a chance of showers.
Well, the Harpy squad are out there saying, we want to go to Israel without conditions. At least they called it Israel this time instead of Palestine.
Threat of heavy rain and gusts.
That's an improvement.
Highs in the 80s. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coles.
News protected by CX Gun, your single source for personal protection. Visit them on 3rd Street in Goshen and check out their full line of quality handguns, shotguns, rifles,
All right, another question just came in. Hold on.
911. Someone tried to break into my home. They're right at the front door. Well, notify the authorities. I'll stay on the line with you until they arrive. What could that do?
CX Gun is your single source for personal protection. Stop in today for the largest selection of handguns, AR rifles, ammunition, accessories, and personal protection solutions. 2,000 guns in stock today with the best prices, guaranteed. CX Gun, located in downtown Goshen at the corner of US 33 and Sable 50. Visit them online at cxgun.com. Protect yourself and loved ones today at CX Gun.
Things are heating up at R&B Car Company with sizzling summer savings. For a limited time, get $2,500 minimum for your trade-in, and with over 600 vehicles to choose from, that new ride for the summer is waiting for you. With fast, friendly, reliable service and the best deal bottom line. $2,500 minimum for your trade-in? Yeah, we are where you ought to be. In South Bend, Warsaw, and Columbia City. Sizzling summer savings at $2,500 minimum for your trade-in. Go to RVCarCompany.com. The Fox Business Report, powered by Home Comfort Experts, plumbing, heating, and cooling. Keep your hard-working AC running smooth with a tune-up today. Call 255-4600.
Interesting.
Business Network stops kicking off the week in rally mode with the Dow back over the 26,000 mark, with all the major averages ending in the green and having their best two-day performance since June.
Well, it's not going to let me have my unified chat window today. That's for sure. Jerk.
The surge in the sector follows a decision by the U.S. to give Chinese telecom giant Huawei another 90 days to buy equipment from American suppliers. Financial stocks also rose as bond prices headed lower, sending yields higher. Among the Dow gainers, Apple, Home Depot, and Boeing. Among the Dow decliners, United Health Group and American Express. With the Dow rising 250 points, the Nasdaq up 107, S&P 500 up 35. One of the biggest gainers today, SD Water. Its shares hitting an all-time high, spiking over 12.
Did she say SD Lauder? Isn't SD Lauder?
Oh. Probably.
Hi, I'm Jay.
I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced SD Lauder.
Americans who are planning home improvements of $500 $5,000 or more will
Kind of her job, though.
with a high interest credit
Yeah,
card.
that's
That
whoever
may
writes
not be a
this
great
job.
idea.
Yeah,
A better
right. She
idea
just reads
may be to
these
take
papers.
cash out of your home with a Quicken
She
Loans
should know
30-year
better.
fixed rate mortgage.
Yeah.
The rate today on our
She's
30-year
a
fixed
woman.
rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22.
And Joe can officially not accuse me of sexism if he ever leaves the company.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger Pacino. Did you know that not only has Afton been voted the top dentist in Michiana a record 18 times, but also voted the best place to work in the entire area? If our employees feel that way, just imagine what that means for your experience. That's right. If they love their job, it means better care for you and your family.
Yeah, there you go, Speed.
Slogan, patient-friendly dentistry. At Afton, it's really
I got a little like triangle thing happening here at the front of my head, don't I? I didn't bring a hat today.
Detailed explanations, great work, and comfortable financial arrangements. It's no wonder that Afton is Michiana's most referred.
Speed is looking for a roofie from Cardi B.
Or simply call 277-2220. See what patient-friendly dentistry is all about at Afton on Douglas Road in Mishawaka.
Just don't have anything of value around.
Next to your house,
Mhm.
your vehicle is one of your biggest investments, and it's important to routinely take care of it.
The most valuable thing I own
are your kidneys.
that I own. I wouldn't say
Inside is running great.
I guess so. I guess you could argue that. But I don't think she was accused of stealing people's kidneys.
She did not steal anybody's organs that we know. Probably a couple of souls. But, yeah, to my knowledge, she didn't steal anybody's organs.
So whether you, your spouse's, or your kid's vehicle needs a wash, there's
Yeah, I
plenty
have
to
this
go around.
shirt.
Or for only $15.95 a month, you can get an unlimited amount of washes. For
Yeah.
them, there's no reason you won't
Not
have
feel
the
bad
best
about it
vehicle
for
on the road.
everything I have.
Also lets you control your wash. Pull up in the bay and get it done by hand. Or drive through their automatic wash.
You know, I finally went through and got
Parkwood Auto Spa in
a bunch of the
South Bend.
trash that my family had been leaving in the garage, like the big things that don't fit in the trash can. They're just leaving in the garage in the middle of my floor. And like their bikes and crap. I finally just got it all out of the garage. So I can actually move around my shop the way that I'm supposed to. You know, like not kill myself.
This is Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. I do want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. So here's the deal. If you are looking for high-quality training, they have the best on- and off-site training available. They have an advanced pistol class coming up. Get details by going to secondamendmentarms.net. You can also follow them on Facebook. Okay, I'm going to play you something here. Cue up my audio for me. This also came out of the Discord server. Is out of Colorado. So Colorado has a safe-to-tell system. And apparently there was a 14-year-old student who is warning about false reports on the safe-to-tell system. This is the Fox 31 affiliate in Denver, Colorado.
We had a Thornton officer come to my house at midnight saying that somebody made a safe-to-tell report that I was going to commit suicide.
We've agreed to protect the identity of this 14-year-old girl who says being anonymous has actually protected those who have used Colorado's safe-to-tell system to bully her.
Yes, it is a good program if it is used correctly, but if, people are out to cyberbully kids, it's not... There needs to be repercussions if it's a false report.
But that's hard at Woodrow Wilson Academy, where this girl attended middle school, and frankly, anywhere where safe-to-tell contacts are printed on the back of every student ID. It's a convenient reminder how easy the system is to use and sometimes abuse.
Last week, we had 2 Thornton officers come to the house saying that somebody made a report saying that I was posting somebody's nudes on social media.
She says Thornton police cleared her after searching her phone with her parents' permission, but says being falsely accused is traumatic.
They came to the house and I couldn't stop crying because I was scared.
We saw an increase of 30% in our tip volumes over the year.
Essie Ellis is the director of Colorado's Safe to Tell program. While total tips reached nearly 20,000 in the last school year, she says the percentage of false reports actually decreased from 3.3% to 2.45%, 541 fake tips.
That students are learning the proper use of the system and really wanting to empower themselves and their peers to make good, informed reports to the Safe to Tell program.
I don't believe false reports are down because just last year I've had 4 reports made against me that were false.
It's a tough dilemma to solve because for the Safe to Tell system to work, most say it has to be anonymous. The girl we spoke with and her parents do not blame police, who they say apologized and were always professional, but understandably have to treat every tip as legitimate until they know otherwise.
Okay. Now, this is interesting because these anonymous tip lines are all over the country. And, you know, again, good purpose. The whole point is if you have information that you need to get out there, you know, somebody's going to hurt themselves or others, you obviously want a way to go ahead and report that without having any repercussions falling back on you. Makes perfect sense. We obviously have crime watchers and things of that nature that do that as well. Local police departments in Mishawaka have anonymous reporting systems and anonymous tip systems. We all understand that those work because people are afraid of repercussions or being drug into it. Okay, we get that. But there is this ratio of abuse that is involved. Now, why did I bring this up? Well, one, you need to understand that this is a potential issue because these programs do exist kind of everywhere. I don't know what the ones locally are called. I'd have to look them up. But also, what's the country debating right now? Red flag laws. Red flag laws have the same issue as these systems do. And it's one of the reasons that we've been telling you, like, look, there has to be some repercussions for false claims. It's basically a swatting of somebody. If you have somebody out there that has guns and you don't like them, then you go ahead and you report them. You report them as a danger to themselves or to others. The law enforcement then comes out, pays them a visit, takes their guns away from them. They have a process now to get their name cleared, but it costs money. It's not free. It is going to take time to go ahead and clear their name. And meanwhile, the person who made the report may not, depending on the system, may not face any repercussions. So this high school student, she's obviously being harassed over this thing, and she supports the program, but she's saying, look, there has to be repercussions for these false these false tips. But how do you do that? I mean, I suppose you're going to have to get into the situation where you're using IP addresses and you're going to have to use the phone numbers and things like that of people who call in. But then it's not truly anonymous. And then you're running the risk of people not actually using the system. So now the teenager says, I don't think the false reports are down. I don't know that that is true, but they weren't down that much. Okay, they were, was that 0.5% or something like that. So they weren't down too much. It's margin of error type stuff. And while we are talking about a small percentage of the overall tips, we're still talking about, was it 545 tips, I think they said, were false. So what happens to the students who make those false reports? Right now, nothing. And so if there's no repercussions for making a false report, then people will continue to do that. And my fear ultimately is that as we look at other laws nationally that impact people as well, that have similar formats as this system does, you might see that happening on a national scale as well, where people's lives are actually literally in jeopardy. That's a huge concern. So going forward, if we're going to do red flag laws, you've got to make it to where people who file these false claims, they're going to face some really serious punishment. And you also have to have an expedited path for people to get their rights restored if they can prove their innocence. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant. I think I got that one from you, Alex. Family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
A chance of storms Tuesday, then the mugginess will subside as we end the week. Scattered showers and thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon, high 86.
I didn't say anything. Do you think I said something?
Around 80 on Wednesday after a muggy.
I didn't look at you.
Skies will begin
cracked my neck.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking in this direction. I wasn't even looking at you.
Well, I saw your head move in my peripheral, Casey.
Hell.
I'm
Man.
sorry that I was mistaken.
You're like my stalker on Facebook. Constantly thinking I'm paying attention to you.
In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Peter Allen.
I gave them the warning finally. You're either going to contribute or you're going to get banned. If you're just going to run around calling people names and stuff, I'm not going to let it happen.
Mobile home is tied down. It's not as safe as an underground shelter or permanent building. It's low as possible.
I, of course, know what their reaction is going to be.
Your bathroom, stairwell, hallway, or other small enclosed area. Stay low to the ground and cover your head with your arms and hands.
95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, I'm Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. Why do we carry the lines of furniture we carry? I believe in the quality. I believe that it's a value. When you're purchasing something that is of good quality, it can literally last you as long as you want to own it. The styling is typically a little more classic, so it's not going to be trendy and something you can live with and pass down. And like, for example, Stickley, made in America, all solid wood. It's the Mission collection. They use solid quarter sawn white oak or solid black cherry. In their modern collection, that's all solid cherry product. Their upholstery is maple frame, lead screw, doubled out, 8-way hand tied. They use the finest cushion material. I mean, it will last for a lifetime.
Yeah, sorry, folks.
See what we have to offer, and we would love the opportunity to show you what we can do. Come to see Kramer Interiors on University Drive next to Temper Grill and City Plaza.
Hi, this is Danny Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house,
Oh, yeah, I could see that speed without a doubt.
call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close.
I'm glad you picked up on that too, Alex. They're learning how to use the system. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
With any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys
The National Taxpayers Union.
Yep.
Call me at 574-294-5678.
Pete Seep. It looks like Sepp, but it's Seep.
Houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant will pay me the rent houses.
What?
If you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs, great.
The
because I
National
love buying
Taxpayers
damaged houses too. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses,
Oh, yeah.
condemned houses, and foreclosure houses.
They've been around for a while.
House, I want to sell it fast. Call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
My name's Dave Titus with International RV in Elkhart, Indiana. You know, one of the things that we see people that are really concerned with is whether they can actually afford an RV or not. They see these big things going down the road, and oh my gosh, I could never have one of those. And we have units that start at around $100 a month. It's all about the fun. Campfire with your wife in the evening.
If they don't get their act together.
Stroll on the beach, or having that private weekend that it really didn't cost you hardly any money, but you had a great time.
The funny thing about people who they engage in that type of cyber stalking is I think that they're not aware that I know who they are and where they live. So like if things get out of hand, like I already know where to send the cops. It's like I know where you are. You're using your name and your information on social media. Like who do you think you're hiding from?
Cable and Ace Hardware will be hosting their annual grill festival.
Ooh, I've got another 5 achievements. What did I do?
And Traeger grills in action. Try unique recipes and talk to the grilling experts. Take advantage of the Demo Grill program.
I got the Empire business. I streamed for 250 hours.
The event and save 20% off retail price. Don't miss out on the accessory discounts too. Stop by Cable and Ace on August 20th.
I don't know what else I've done.
CableandAceHardware.com for more information.
But yeah.
Happy birthday, Long John Silver's. To celebrate, we're offering all you can eat every day this week, just $7.99. Long John Silver's. Fish, yeah. Offer good August 18th through 25th. Only at participating locations. Pricing and participation may vary. See store for details.
Your top news, traffic, and weather during Michiana's morning news.
All right, here we go.
From 95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. Casey just saw that Planned Parenthood's not going to be getting federal funding anymore. Okay, that alert actually came through right before the show, and I will be talking about it in the 5 o'clock hour. So, yes, thank you for the tip. I appreciate that. News alert went out. I think it was like right around 3:50 or something like that. I had to look at my phone. But yeah, Planned Parenthood basically withdrew from it. We'll talk about that again in the 5 o'clock hour. So stay tuned. It's a coming. In the meantime, Democrats have been forced to apologize after a mock assassination of President Trump was enacted at a fundraiser. Nice, huh? A political fundraiser for Senator Sandoval simulates an assassination attempt against a mock Donald Trump decked out in Mexican garb. It looks like a man pointed a fake assault weapon at the fake president to pose for a picture. Nice, huh? But, you know, it's all of your guys' rhetoric that is out of control. Democrats in Illinois have been forced to apologize after photos emerged of attendees at a fundraiser carrying out a mock simulation of an assassination of President Trump. The scene was photographed at a fundraiser for Democratic Illinois State Senator Martin Sandoval. Senator Sandoval had to take to Twitter and apologize, noting that he doesn't condone violence towards the president or anybody else. Response from Senator Sandoval: the incident that took place is unacceptable. I don't condone violence towards the president or anyone else. I apologize that something like this happened at my event. Are you pretending that you didn't know it happened? I guess. Because he's in the pictures. Just throwing it out there. The Democratic Party of Illinois followed suit, albeit with an embedded dig at the president, insinuating that he is guilty of inciting mass shootings. The Dems for Illinois account on Twitter responds, the tragedies in El Paso and Gilroy have demonstrated how hate-filled political rhetoric can fuel violence. These images are unacceptable and dangerous. The place to make our voices heard against Trump is at the ballot box. I mean, I suppose you could interpret that as a dig at the president if you're talking about the uninformed masses out there, because we know that both of those shooters are leftists. The state's Democratic governor also was forced to apologize, Governor Pritzker, as our nation grapples with the epidemic of gun violence. Purposely pointing a fake gun at anyone is insensitive and wrong. I condemn actions like the ones displayed in the pictures because they lack the civility our politics demands. Interesting stuff. So, you know, here's the thing, though. We continuously seem to have a steady stream of prominent Democrats, some politicians, some just famous for whatever reason, whether it's celebrities or they're just well-known in politics, apologizing for behavior like this. And it just seems like maybe we have a pattern. Well, obviously people on the political right don't typically do this. Not people of note on the political right. Certainly not verified members of the political right. They don't engage in this behavior. But these people do. And they do it consistently and routinely. And they have movies that are dedicated to it. So this movie that got banned that portrayed not banned, but it got pulled for portraying the hunting down of deplorable and Trump supporter types and that sort of thing. So the person who's making that movie now is coming out and saying, no, this is all misunderstood. I was poking fun at both sides in this thing, which, by the way, I want to make crystal clear. None of us saw it. Okay, so it's possible that they are telling the truth because we have had a long string of people get upset at movies and actors and things like that because they perceived something that a movie was going to do, even though the movie had not been released and they didn't see it. Prime example is Tropic Thunder. Everybody was upset with Robert Downey Jr. playing a black guy because Robert Downey Jr. is obviously not a black guy. And then the movie came out and you realized the whole character was a white guy playing a black guy and it being silly and ridiculous. That was the whole point of it. But initially, people were upset that he was playing a black guy instead of having a black actor play it. So I'm going to say that it's possible that the person who made this film may have been trying to take a dig at both sides of the political aisle. However, in the climate that we're in right now, it was foolish to even attempt something like this. You know, if you're going to do it, you've got to get out there with a pre-release and say, we're going to have a movie that is such a caricature of the far left and the far right. We're going to basically go after everybody. We're going to South Park the entire political spectrum. And if you make that play initially, then what happens is people go, okay, they're going to lampoon everybody, so let's go ahead and sit back and watch. But that didn't happen. Instead, what we got a bunch of releases of images of, you know, people portrayed as Trump supporters getting hunted and killed. And that's a real issue, especially in the current political climate. Like I said, you know, people are having to constantly apologize for this on the political left. And it would just seem that all of the violent rhetoric seems to be coming from them, and it doesn't come from the political right. And they're always forced to apologize for it. But the media never really bothers illustrating it or highlighting it, or certainly raising it to the level of awareness that they would raise anything else. Anyway, we are live streaming, youtube.com/Casey the host. Hit that subscribe button. New motovlog is uploaded. Another one is coming either tonight or tomorrow. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified of uploads. We got more coming up. 95.3 MNC.
WTRC FM and HD1. Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Arg.
Your top stories right now.
Israeli travel ban. I'm Edison Fox News. Two Democratic congresswomen today discussing restrictions on their travel to the country of an ally. Fox's Jared Halpern's live in Washington.
Well, the two congresswomen embarked from entering Israel for a fact-finding trip last week, planned, they say, to meet with Palestinians and Israelis during a visit to Jerusalem and the West Bank.
Is nothing less than an attempt by an ally of the United States to suppress our ability to do our jobs as elected officials.
Minnesota Democrat Ilhan Omar and Michigan Democrat Rashida Tlaib have supported boycott efforts directed at Israel. Tlaib was granted a humanitarian exception to visit her grandmother so long as she not promote that boycott. Tlaib rejected the offer under oppressive conditions. Rich.
Jared, a New York City police officer fired today, just over 5 years after his involvement in the death of an unarmed man during an arrest attempt. Fox's Gernal Scott joins us live.
Rich, NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill announced the immediate firing of Daniel Pantaleo.
Dealing with a customer, sorry.
To the chokehold leading to Eric Garner's death. Mayor Bill de Blasio said justice was done.
They will not bring Eric Garner back, but I hope it brings some small measure of closure and peace to the Garner family.
But Garner's daughter, Emerald Snipes Garner, says this will not end with Pantaleo's fate.
All right. I'm going to go grab a warm-up. I will be right back.
She says they will continue to pursue an Eric Garner law banning the use of chokeholds in police takedowns. The New York Post reports
They're already banned.
sue to get his job back, Rich.
What? That chokehold board is banned.
What did they say?
That they're implementing a new law in light of Eric Garner's death to ban chokeholds. That they already illegal.
Yeah, you can't do a chokehold. I don't know.
Okay.
Politicians do. They're probably just going to say any headlock now is going to be banned. Something like that.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel and 95.3 MNC.com.
I'm Tommy Lee, the MNC News Center, and among our top stories this Monday afternoon, schools in Warsaw found themselves dealing with a power outage this afternoon. At 12:30, the power was interrupted at Edgewood Middle School, Washington STEM Academy, and part of Warsaw Community High School. The schools worked closely with the power company to restore power around 2 p.m. Classes and lunches went on without disruption. Meanwhile, the city of Warsaw is losing its Kmart store.
In the coming months, the store will become one of 5 Kmarts and 21 Sears locations across the U.S. and Puerto Rico that are closing their doors. The Sears location in Warsaw, however, is not part of the closing plan at this time. Shoppers can expect liquidation sales to begin later this month, and the store is scheduled to close between later October and late November. The company says all workers will be offered the same number of weeks of severance that was offered prior to the company's Chapter 11 filing in October of last year.
95.3 MNC's John Sidney reporting. And from the MNC follow-up file, the 3 local shelters that participated in the Clear the Shelter event over the weekend had some great updates to share.
That's because the South Bend Animal Resource Center, the Humane Society of St. Joseph County, and the Humane Society of Elkhart County boasted a lot of adoptions because of the event. All day this past Saturday, adoptions were name your own price, and Mishawaka came out in force. By the numbers, and according to their own social media posts, St. Joseph County adopted out 69 animals, South Bend adopted out 31 animals, and Elkhart County set a new one-day record with 45 adoptions day of and another 46 pending. That means nearly 150 animals found new homes on Saturday alone.
That's 95.3 MNC's Carl Stutzman.
Weather sponsored by
The Crafting Table King. Cool off from the summer heat. Cut it for crisp salads and fresh fruit plates.
Now, Home Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' first warning forecasts.
Mostly clear and falling.
God, the end of the month is going to be busy.
A little humid.
So that Friday, 30th, I think,
Scattered showers and thunderstorms again.
I've got Pass the Mic. Then I have to go to the abate course with listeners that night, do the abate course over the next 2 days, and then I leave for vacation Monday.
All news, all the time. When you
Jeez.
MNC News Now, available now on
Which means, of course, recording all of the commercials and endorsements and all of that stuff before I go.
breaking news and weather station.
Holy jamoly.
Auto Spa, home of the buy 5, get 3 free. Find a location near you at parkwoodAutospa.com. Next to your house, your vehicle is one of your biggest investments, and it's important to routinely take care of it. Get oil changes a few times a year, new wheels and suspension, and may even change out a light bulb or 2. So if the inside is running great, why not make the outside look just as flawless? Parkwood Auto Spa on Edison Road in Mishawaka and Ireland Road in South Bend can make sure your ride looks pristine and gleaming. They're also home of the buy 5, get 3 free. For every 5 washes you buy, you'll receive 3 free. So whether you, your spouse's, or your kid's vehicle needs a wash, there's plenty to go around. Or for only $15.95 a month, you can get an unlimited amount of washes. For that, there's no reason you won't have the best looking vehicle on the road. Parkwood Auto Spa also lets you control your wash. Pull up in the bay and get it done by hand, or drive through their automatic wash and get it done. Get to Parkwood Auto Spa in Mishawaka and South Bend, and online at parkwoodautospa.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home. With our exclusive rate shield,
The only time we have to watch commercials on the stream is when Deaf John is producing.
90 days while you shop for your new home with a rate shield.
I'm going to switch back over to the other one and move the chat over a little bit.
If rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate,
And get the security of our exclusive
There you go.
rate shield approval. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to
5 o'clock hour, almost finished.
Racial approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
From the Final Phase Electric Studios. From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical.
Done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. We are live streaming on 3 platforms today. You can go to youtube.com/Casey the host, facebook.com/Casey the host, and twitch.tv/Casey the host. All right, Planned Parenthood Federation of America said today that it would withdraw from the federal Title X family planning program rather than comply with a new Trump administration rule preventing clinics from referring patients for abortions. The organization's decision to forego federal funding for contraception and other family planning services estimated at about $60 million a year across its affiliate clinics. Now, again, if you know anything about Planned Parenthood, you know that their money is in abortions, period, end of story. They do some other stuff with birth control and things like that, but that's not their bread and butter. That's not where they make their money. It will have a profound impact on the organization's future and the patients it serves, etc. This is all the Wall Street Journal. Planned Parenthood clinics serve about 1.5 million patients, or 40% of the women served by Title X, a federal program that provides birth control, pregnancy tests, screening for sexually transmitted diseases, and other women's health services. Title X funds will be reallocated to other clinics, though in some rural communities, Planned Parenthood is the only provider of women's health care. So again, a Trump administration had an executive order. We talked about it before. It says if you're going to get federal funds, then you won't refer women to abortions. Okay. Now, the reason that this is so interesting, and I'm watching this, and I looked at Pete Buttigieg's tweet about this too. He's having a conniption fit. They all, and I'm talking about the pro-abortion crowd, they all for years have been running their mouths about how taxpayers don't fund abortion. Okay. So what's the problem? Planned Parenthood doesn't need federal dollars to provide these services. They can provide these services if they want to. In most places of the country, these services are primarily met with other clinics, which are medical clinics. Now, again, in some areas, as we pointed out, Planned Parenthood is the only game in town. In a press call on Monday afternoon, Alexis McGill-Johnson, Planned Parenthood's acting president, pledged to continue offering its current range of services, but predicted Planned Parenthood clinics will be forced to serve significantly fewer patients. What we are committed to doing is using some emergency funds to help our patients get through, but it will have an impact, she said. Using fundraising, essentially charity for what should be a state responsibility, is like holding an umbrella during a tsunami. And yet, the money that they're going to lose is within their profit margins anyway. So Planned Parenthood is going to be financially okay. That's no doubt. But again, there are people who are upset about it. Okay, but none of that seems to be consistent with what they've been saying over the past several years. So Planned Parenthood has essentially told everybody, look, we have a choice to make. Are we an abortion clinic, or are we a women's health clinic that gets federal funding for STD testing and that sort of thing? And they said they were an abortion clinic. So Planned Parenthood, you could say they fell into another Trump trap. Okay? If Trump's position is that Planned Parenthood is primarily an abortion clinic and secondarily a women's health clinic, which is what their profit margins show. Okay? That's what their business documents show. But they have always disputed that. Well, they've made the decision now. If you want federal funds to continue doing those services, great, we'll give you federal funds, but you're not going to make abortion a part of that. Because the whole argument for the past several years is that we're not using taxpayer dollars for abortion services, abortion providers, that sort of thing to go towards abortion. Well, you will be if you continue using the current Title X. So the Trump administration put an end to it. It's not an attack on women, Pete Buttigieg. What it is saying, okay, if we're going to have a policy that doesn't use taxpayer dollars to fund abortion, an elective procedure in 99.9% of all cases, an elective procedure that isn't necessary, then we're not going to use federal funding for abortion clinics. It's that simple. Planned Parenthood has a decision to make. They can either take this money and not refer to abortions, which they provide, or they can go ahead and get rid of the money that they get for these STDs and all of that other stuff, and they can continue doing whatever they want to do and be a totally profitable business, doing whatever business model that they want. And Planned Parenthood said, we choose the abortion path over the women's healthcare clinic path. And they've got plenty of money and business to do it. And they have plenty of supporters, by the way, who will bankroll them. So this isn't going to be a huge issue for women who can't afford the kind of care. I don't anticipate there's going to be a financial burden really at all. Certainly not on the profit margins. So anyway, Harvest Prude, interesting name, considering we're talking about sex. Planned Parenthood said Monday that it will no longer accept Title X family planning funding because the pro-life rules enacted by the Trump administration. The regulation issued in February prevents taxpayer dollars from funding organizations that provide or refer women for abortions. The nation's biggest abortion provider could have continued to receive $60 million per year from Title X if it would have agreed to conduct abortions in separate locations from where it offered family planning services, and if it stopped recommending abortions to women who received those services. So really, that's all they had to do. So Planned Parenthood could have split their clinics, had an abortion provider, and had a women's care provider, because yes, they're two different things. And as long as they didn't refer business to themselves, they could have continued to get the $60 million in federal funding. They chose not to. Now, they can, squawk and squeal about this all they want, but the reality is Planned Parenthood made the decision that their business model is abortion and their business model is not women's preventative health. It's that simple, which we all knew, but they've been running around and saying, no, we primarily provide these other services. Abortion is not the primary service that we provide. Well, then why didn't you continue to prioritize providing those services? And the answer is $60 million, which is not nearly as much as they make in abortions. More than 20 states sued to stop Title X changes, but the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in June that the regulations could take effect while the litigation plays out. In the courts, the Department of Health and Human Services gave abortion providing Title X participants until Monday to demonstrate a good faith effort to follow the new rules. Instead of preparing to comply, Planned Parenthood sent a letter Wednesday to the 9th Circuit asking it to block the rules and announcing its intent to withdraw from Title X if the court did not act. The appellate court denied Planned Parenthood's request on Friday, and the organization said today that it would no longer participate and called on the U.S. Senate to pass a spending bill, including language to block the Trump administration rules, which it seems all very hypocritical considering all of the years that we have heard Planned Parenthood and their supporters saying taxpayer funding doesn't go to abortions. We don't want taxpayer funding to go to abortions. That shouldn't be it, which of course they have campaigned on taxpayer funded abortion. But their whole argument is falling apart now. So if you are in the pro-life crowd, for years you have heard this mantra that Planned Parenthood primarily provides these preventative services for women's care, and abortion is not the primary focus of the establishment. And taxpayer money is not going towards abortion, nor should it go towards abortion, so stop talking about it, you crazy pro-lifers. And so the Trump administration said, oh, okay, well, cool. Then we'll just, make sure that $60 million doesn't go to you if you're providing abortions in the same facility or referring people to abortions at your facilities, and everything will be fine. And Planned Parenthood said, whoa, hold on, time out. That's not okay. We still want to be in the abortion business and everything else. So really what he made them do is walk the walk. And so now they've walked the walk. Planned Parenthood has to walk away from this because $60 million is not where they make their money. They make a lot more money than that, and it comes from abortions, and everybody knows it because their public documents are available. I should say everybody should know it because you could read the public documents because they're open to the public, but not everybody knows that because people are too lazy to look. You still have politicians tweeting out that they do breast exams there. They don't. They don't do breast exams or cancer screenings or anything like that. So again, they made their choice, but it's interesting that they had to make it. And it seems like this is a win for pro-lifers, not just because of the funding mechanism, but because Planned Parenthood was forced to admit what their business model is, whereas they had been deceiving everybody previously, and people who are too lazy to look it up were falling for it. Well, now they've been forced to take a position, and it's inconsistent with what they've been saying for years. By the way, remember their last head, chairwoman or whatever her title was, the doctor, she had to leave because she actually wanted Planned Parenthood to focus more on the preventative health care. She wanted them to focus less on abortion and more on treating women for sexually transmitted diseases, screenings, that sort of thing. Planned Parenthood didn't like that. So they were already at odds over that. Now remember, she's a medical doctor. And then what we hear anyway, the thing that ended all of it was that she refused to toe the transgender lines on some of this stuff. which she would refer to your preferred pronoun, but she would not toe the pseudoscience behind that and biological males being able to have babies and things of that nature. She wouldn't do that as a medical doctor. So they parted ways. But it's important to note that she might have wanted them to focus more on the women's health side of things to save the $60 million, and Planned Parenthood was not willing to go along with that. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Breaking news and weather station.
Weather, served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 25 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals, 5-day forecast.
A chance of storms Tuesday, then the mugginess will subside as we end the week. Scattered showers and thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon.
What's up, Mac Daddy? How are you?
Severe threat. Highs around 80 on Wednesday. After a muggy start, skies will begin to clear through the afternoon. Sunshine on Thursday, big difference, 75, 74 on Friday. Lows will be in the 50s, much lower humidity as we end the week.
Oh, I forgot to put that in the prep. Okay, hold on. I got to add a couple things to the Daily Show prep.
ABC 57, first
Hi.
Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs.
The top news stories.
This is just a spurless attack on this president. We're trying to heal, and they're trying to divide.
We don't want guns in the hands of their own people. I think that the Republicans are going to be great and lead the charge along with the Democrats.
We're planning for the Chinese to come here next month. And if there's a good deal or good progress, we may reconsider some things.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location. I am not a realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678. I buy inherited houses, divorced houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant will pay me the rent houses.
The best part about this guy is he reminds me to mow my lawn.
Great, because I love buying damaged houses too. I buy
When he talks about buying a mower,
abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses.
like, oh yeah, I've got to get the new trimmer head on my trimmer and go do some edging.
For a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
All right. There we go. All caught up on the show prep. Whew, that's a doozer. Do I go with the gender studies report, or do I go with
Never skipping a step.
Elizabeth Warren?
Crispin Custom Painting offers great service with no mess, no stress. Call me, Dan Crispin.
No. Let's go with the Buttigieg thing I teased. Let's do that.
Hi, I'm Mike Bernard, financial advisor and partner at Corhorn Financial Group. Any advice that we at Corhorn Financial Group people know how it's going to impact their cash flow and their retirement plan and their investments and tax plan, how it impacts all of it. Well, I think in general...
Oh, I got the Solar Road thing too. Oh my God. I've got 3 pages of stuff, and I can usually only get through like maybe a quarter to a half a page per show.
Their insurance and their taxes and investments, retirement goals, and estate planning, you have a much better platform to say, yeah, you are on track. Or actually, nope, if we do these 2 or 3 things, that's going to line all these pieces up together, and you're going to have a lot more success in your financial life, or freedom in your financial life.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities Incorporated, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management LLC. This is a Corhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management LLC. Silver Oak Securities
Trophy of Mishawaka and McKinley, nationally known, locally owned. Whatever the achievement or occasion, Crown Trophy of Mishawaka on McKinley has the custom awards, trophies, plaques, promotional items, corporate awards, and more you need to celebrate. Even choose from Crown exclusives that you'll find nowhere else. Stop by our showroom for some inspiration or get started at crowntrophy.com. Crown Trophy of Mishawaka on McKinley, where everyone is a winner.
All right. Let's talk about the mayor coming up. That gum lasted forever.
Fight PMC.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Traffic is driven by R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So got a 4-part text message here. Casey, the left seems to constantly accuse Republicans of what the Democrats are in fact doing. I'll go into detail on the text, but this is what I've been saying for years. Especially with Trump, since the whole Trump fiasco with collusion and all of that, literally everything that they accused him of doing, they had done. And the paper trail, again, you kind of go back to the collusion thing. Even though they're investigating whether or not it predates Hillary Clinton's so-called collusion with Ukraine, they're now investigating whether or not there was an intelligence operation that even predated that to go back and frame Trump as being some kind of a Russian operative. And if that ends up panning out, if that investigation leads anywhere, obviously it's the biggest presidential conspiracy in the history of the country. But we saw that Hillary Clinton was starting to face some real issues in the public with her meetings with the Ukrainian officials, okay? And since the Ukrainian officials were giving her information that could be damaging to Trump, and they're having these meetings and all of that, the American public is starting to go, wait a minute, why are you going to a foreign government and doing all of this for? It doesn't seem to make sense. Well, then they flipped it, and they made, well, Trump's been going with Russia and all this other stuff, and the media ran with it, said, okay, this is our cover story to give Hillary some breathing room, and they just ran with it. And it just ends up being one of those runaway freight trains where, again, 2 days after the collusion story broke, 2 days after, you had CNN looking at the head of BuzzFeed and going, you spread fake news, you deceived us in this dossier bit, and this is fake news, this is wrong. And then somehow it went from, oh, there might have been collusion to, oh, it was a hoax, it's a fake story, to, hey, let's get behind this anyway. And like I said, CNN sitting there, I think it was Anderson Cooper, who was calling the head of BuzzFeed fake news for spreading the lie of the dossier. And then CNN went all in. It all happened in this really weird, inorganic fashion, which can only be described as like a wagon circle sort of a thing. So Casey, the left seems to constantly accuse Republicans of what the Democrats are in fact doing, accusing Trump of collusion, accusing conservatives of being racist and violent along with racism and bigotry. But when they are faced with rock solid proof of their own transgressions, they make excuses and claim that racism or some other ism claim to justify it. How can we shine light on this hypocrisy when the media is the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party? We need to build a media that is beyond reproach and unquestionable. Agreed. And I don't think I'm going to have time to get to the New York Times 1619 fiasco today. I think we're just going to run out of time with it today. We'll hopefully get to it tomorrow. But you have this media apparatus that is all about winning for the Democrats and defeating Republicans. So that has become their primary focus in most major media. There are some good people on multiple platforms that are simply about finding the truth. For example, at some point, hopefully tomorrow, I have said many times, Michiana does not have an investigative reporter. There's no investigative reporter here. There's a couple of news readers and some people who run around and they do reporting, but there's no investigative reporter who digs deep into issues. That's no longer the case. ABC 57 has one. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to have time today. And that now gets to change. There is somebody in town who is doing a darn good job at being a real journalist. But there's just one person in TV here. There's a lot of people in TV here, and there's only one person who's really going around and doing this very difficult work and going against the grain. Why is there only one person? And when you look at the New York Times and you look at some of these other publications, the Washington Post, CNN, and things of that nature, CNN is running conspiracies. They were doing it all weekend that the people who have accused Don Lemon of sexual assault, there's one person who's accused Don Lemon of sexual assault. That person now has a witness. Okay? They're now saying it's a Trump conspiracy against Don Lemon. What are you talking about? You got, Kamala Harris running around and saying that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent. Tulsi Gabbard served her country, still serves her country. Kamala Harris hasn't. But somehow Tulsi's the Russian agent. There is we say Trump derangement syndrome. It's not a joke. Bush derangement syndrome was very, very real. Trump derangement syndrome is like an evolution of that times 100. It is some of the most twisted stuff you could possibly think of. All you need to do with any individual, especially a politician, if you just hang back and you report on them honestly, they're going to do things that require legitimate scrutinizing. There's going to be things that are very real that you can criticize them about. You don't need to fabricate things about them. They're politicians. It doesn't take much to find something that is wrong with them. And that includes President Trump. But when you start fabricating things and you make things up, and the New York Times is just going into the gutter with this now, I don't know what to tell you. The only thing that you can do is continue to point out those hypocrisies and use verifiable facts to back up your claims. Don't just argue on emotion and things of that nature. That's the only thing you can do. This is very much a grassroots effort against the machine, if you will. Honestly, the political right is raging against the machine right now. Another ironic thing, because Rage Against the Machine, huge leftist band. They have all of the power and all of the media. You have one person at a time that you can convince with facts. So you have to do it. Or choose not to be a part of the fight. It's up to you. I'm not telling you to go out there and proselytize, but that's kind of where we're at. There is so much involved in all of this. And people are being beat over the heads with things that are not true. You got the situation with the immigration comments from, I forget who it was in the Trump administration. I have to pull up his name. I'm just dropping his name. I know the story, but where they were trying to say he rewrote the Statue of Liberty poem. None of that happened. Okay? It's completely taken out of context. And I'm watching news people in my own building run with the story as if it were real. It was fake. It was complete garbage, and people bought into it. Why? Because every paper in the country was publishing the same headline. Fake news is institutional news now. And until people are able to go ahead and devote some kind of time into debunking and fact-checking it, that's another thing. Snopes has lost their minds fact-checking the Babylon Bee, which is a parody website. It's a parody website. Can you imagine devoting as a legitimate so-called fact-checking website all of your time to debunking The Onion? Okay? The Babylon Bee does satire and parody. That's it. And people are losing their absolute minds over it. But you're dealing with derangement syndromes here. That's what you're dealing with. Somebody asked if I covered the mock assassination in Illinois. Yes, I did. It was in the 4 o'clock hour. Go check it out in the podcast. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking
news and weather station. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, and 95.3MNC.com.
I'm Tommy Lee, MNC News Center, and among this afternoon's top stories, there are not going to be any charges in a Berrien County hotel fire. Children.
That's because the investigation determined that nothing was done intentionally to set the fire, nor was the hotel operator negligent.
I am watching Darcy murder somebody in text messaging right now.
children died when a fire started on the first floor of the building, and they were not able to get out of their second floor room on time. All of them died from smoke inhalation. In short, the fire was caused by, quote, careless use of a hot plate. But prosecutors say that does not warrant criminal charges. There had been some talk about fire alarms at the building, but prosecutors again said the building owners had done everything they were supposed to, and even noted that if Kurt had an alarm, it wouldn't have given her any advance.
I'm trying to decide, should I tell everybody what's happening with Darcy or not?
And a con artist is posing as a Catholic.
She's ripping somebody a new one right now, and he deserves it.
One victim told ABC 57 that he received an email that he thought was from Father Terry Coonan of Little Flower Catholic Church in South Bend. That message, sent to the parishioners, said Father Terry was looking to collect donations for area women fighting breast cancer. An email chain led victims to eventually buy gift cards that couldn't be traced, with the promise that they would be reimbursed for them. Once they sent the card information, the money was gone. The prosecutor's office reminds people that these types of scams are common, and to be careful what you believe online.
95.3 MNC's Heather Starr reporting.
Fox News, I'm Steve Rappaport. Two Muslim lawmakers encouraging their colleagues to visit Israel after the country banned them.
Meet with the people we were going to meet with.
Yeah, PolitiFact, again, Tampa Bay Times. When PolitiFact first launched, we had to do an expose on who they were. You know, that's why you have fact-checking the fact-checkers now. It's a mess. Everything is a mess.
Commissioner James O'Neill firing the officer who used a banned chokehold that led to the death of Eric Garner 5 years ago.
There are absolutely no victors here today. Not the Garner family, not the community at large.
I have not heard of Walmart. Is this a location? Shutting down and having fencing installed with barbed wire?
Over the officers he claims to lead. America is listening to Fox News.
Weather sponsored by
Come in for your favorite breakfast.
If this were a bar, I would be sending Darcy a drink after watching this. Oh, man.
Mostly clear and falling into the mid-60s Tuesday night.
It's good.
Chance of showers early Tuesday, but the focus will be on scattered showers and thunderstorms again Tuesday afternoon. A low-level severe threat of heavy rain and gusty wind with highs in the mid-80s. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coon.
News powered by Temper Grill. Plans this week to experience the unmatched style of Temper Grill. Seating is limited. Call or visit tempergranger.com today.
When we say food with attitude, what we mean is the finest American-style tapas food in Mishawaka. Surrounded by a craft beer, fine wine, champagne, and dessert list that is as unique and seasonal as our menu. At Temper Grill, Chef Sean works with the finest ingredients to deliver you an unmatched dining experience that changes every week to fit the time of the year and his mood, while always satisfying your taste buds. Visit Tuesday nights for half-price wine bottles, Wednesday for $2 beer night. Visit Tuesdays to check out Roman's ridiculous list, or upgrade your evenings Tuesdays through Saturdays with the atmosphere of Temper Grill, with a perfect backdrop for any occasion. Reservations required, 21 and up. Exchange buy gift cards, or make a simple dinner reservation at tempergranger.com. Unplug and relax with a truly unforgettable dining experience. Because life is too short, and the food is too good to break bread in a bad mood. Temper Grill. Food with attitude.
Oh, I'm looking up somebody's info here. Hold on a second. This is good stuff.
Shares of banks and tech companies were among the gainers today, with Apple leading the charge. This after the president and Apple CEO Tim Cook met, with the president saying that Cook made a very compelling argument that new tariffs would harm Apple's ability to compete with its South Korean competitor Samsung. Its products are not subject to the tariffs, with the Dow rising 250 points, the Nasdaq 100, S&P 500 up 35. And Kroger is expanding its relationship with Walgreens.
It's just so funny. All right.
Customers who use Kroger's online shopping can pick up their orders at participating Walgreens. And Kroger also announcing today it will be selling just an egg alternative made from mung bean in 2,100 Kroger-owned stores. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Rybarski.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. 8.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
This is Casey Weed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day. We're not here to just beat our chest about our experience and education. While that may be important, we're really here to discuss you and the challenges you'll face in retirement. You are unique, and we are willing to put in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan that's tailored just for you. Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement.
Okay, so if they're turning one into a, well, here's the thing. Maybe they are turning it into a border holding station, because one of the buildings that they're using to detain migrants was an old Walmart. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
866-482-9559, or just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Save big money on all of your projects now at Menards. Right now, over 230 stock Fight electric LED light bulbs are on sale. Add more light to garages, utility rooms, basements, and more with a 4,000 lumen LED bulb. It uses 87% less power than a standard 300-watt bulb.
There's a lot of commercials.
741.
Save big money on this and other
That's a big break.
Mid-hour
Feels like it's been going forever.
From the final phase electric studio.
All right, here we go.
From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send me a text message at 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. And again, I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. And again, they have an advanced pistol class coming up soon. You want to register for this thing. They're going to go over all sorts of things, including one-handed reloading and acquiring your targets, so much more. If you are a good shooter, but you want to really step up your game, this is the class for you. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Of course, you can visit them in person and get information and register for this class as well. All right. What do we have here? South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg reportedly helped create an alert system that would notify families of ICE raids in their residents' homes or businesses. So all of these politicians that have been running around and alerting illegal immigrants to the ICE raids, it appears that Pete Buttigieg may have had a hand in creating that system, which, by the way, has led to a couple of articles over the weekend saying, oh, so he's actively working to thwart U.S. law. See, here's the thing. If you are a local municipality or a state, and you have been making the argument that you cannot enforce immigration because immigration is a federal issue, and that's what many of these sanctuary cities and states have said, it's not our job to enforce immigration. Once they're here, we're going to take care of them like they're our citizens. It's the federal government's job to enforce immigration. And then when the federal government, via ICE, tries to enforce the immigration laws of the country, and you as a state step in and thwart those efforts, you are now a hypocrite. You are telling everybody that, no, you do actually have a hand in immigration, and you are not going to leave it to the federal government to go ahead and deal with it. The phone tree, according to the Daily Beast, was one of several actions that Buttigieg took to protect illegal immigrants in his town. Phone trees consist of an automated calling system that helps spread messages quickly and efficiently. I wonder if any of this had something to do with giving illegal immigrants identification. So Mayor Buttigieg gives illegal immigrants in South Bend their own ID to be able to drive, right? Well, not to drive, but to be able to do other things. And it's issued through a private group. So these are not government-issued IDs. They're private-issued IDs. But did he build a database on who they are? And then uses that database to go ahead and notify them of federal raids that might be impacting them? Those would presumably help alert immigrants to the type of surprise raids that resulted in nearly 700 arrests in Mississippi. His approach to immigration came under legal scrutiny when Judicial Watch, a right-leaning organization, sued the city over a community resident card program that Buttigieg reportedly developed with the help of La Casa, a left-wing pro-immigration group. The program allowed residents to open bank accounts, fill prescriptions, and use public services without the fear that authorities would find out their immigration status. Buttigieg specifically partnered with local businesses on the program and directed utilities and other services to accept the cards as a valid form of identification. Again, the cards were not government issued. Buttigieg was also one of many 2020 Democratic presidential candidates who sought to help immigrants avoid interactions with federal immigration enforcement. A long list of Democrats has criticized Trump administration, yada, yada, yada. So, let's see. Yep. Okay. So there you go. He apparently helped create this system, which means the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, has actively worked to thwart federal law and aid fugitives who are on the run from the law. Because again, what is an illegal immigrant? Yes, they're a human being. Yes, they're members of society, etc. They're also fugitives. That's what they are. Literally. They're running from the law. They don't want to get caught. If they get caught, they get sent home or they get sent to jail or whatever the circumstances of their eluding law enforcement is. They are on the run. And when you have politicians who actively help them be on the run, those politicians are now skirting federal immigration law. That could be problematic for many people. 574-25-95-95-3. Tim, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Casey. I got a question here on Mayor Pete getting involved in the ice phone trees here. Is he still considered, actively reserve duty in the military?
I don't know. I don't know what his status is. I think so. I think he's still in the reserves, but yeah, I'd have to double check.
Well, if he's still in the reserves or he was doing this during the time where he was actively, serving, he puts himself up for some repercussions with the UCMJ. He's advocating breaking the federal law, so, he's putting himself in the crosshairs in violations of UCMJ.
Well, and even as a civilian, he's violating federal law because if you aid and abet illegal immigrants, you can go to jail. It's a federal crime.
It's actually kind of my point. A lot of municipalities are, getting away with breaking federal law because, they argue that they're politicians or, they're not supposed to be involved. As a, officer in the U.S. military, he has to uphold the federal law as well as local law, but, he is specifically answerable to military courts at this point.
Yeah.
So, his own chain of command could bring him up on charges on this.
Yeah, I don't know. Does UCMJ, when you do stuff in civilian world, does UCMJ still apply, or do you have to be in uniform when it applies?
It can apply at any time.
Okay.
It really depends on when the military decides, or how they decide. If it reflects on the military uniform. Now, in this case, he hasn't used his uniform or his rank really as far as pushing the anti-immigration agenda.
Yeah.
But at any point, if he's, kind of coalesced those two into each other, the military would be more than within their rights to prosecute him for that.
Interesting. Well, Tim, I appreciate the info, man. Thank you much.
All right. Thank you.
You take care. And there's been articles written over the weekend about, Pete Buttigieg may be out of the candidates, he might be the one criminal. And again, probably some strong language, but he is breaking the law. And if he helped organize or set up that system in order to go ahead and notify illegal immigrants who are, again, fugitives of the law, that federal authorities are coming and seeking to take him into custody, then there is a case to be made for that. 574-25-95-95-3. In fact, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, that at this point in time, based on the information that we have, Mayor Buttigieg has broken more laws and been involved in more criminal activity than former Chief Daryl Boykins has ever been in. We've got more coming up. 95.3 MNC.
Keeping you connected with breaking news on the radio at 95.3 FM and online at 953mnc.com. Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served up by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. Does your family or group meet regularly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Just call the Prime Table to reserve tables for your next gathering.
Now, Home Comfort Experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecast.
A chance of storms Tuesday, then the mugginess will subside as we end the week. Scattered showers and thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon. High 86. There is a low severe threat. Highs around 80 on Wednesday. After a muggy start, skies will begin to clear through the afternoon. Sunshine on Thursday, big difference, 75, 74.
Lock him up. Wouldn't that be funny if at all of his little rallies that he had, that people started chanting that?
Saturday, still sunny, looking nice with a high of 76. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs.
95.3 MNC keeps you on time. Weekday mornings with traffic and weather every 10 minutes on the 6s during Michiana's Morning News with Mark McGill. And before your drive comes to a grinding halt, get traffic alerts direct to your cell phone. Text news to 45364 from the station that keeps you moving on air, online, and on your cell. From News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, this is Dr. Roger Pacino. Does this sound familiar? You have a toothache, haven't been to a dentist in years, and money is tight. You don't want to be pressured into dental work you can't afford, and maybe you're embarrassed about the lack of past dental care. You don't have dental insurance and need help, but just don't know where to turn. At AFDent, we can get you out of pain today. No one should have to live in dental pain. That's why AFDent has an entire team dedicated to treating toothaches and dental emergencies. Stop in today with or without an appointment to receive the care you need, whether you have dental insurance or not. If cost is a concern, we can discuss payment plans that fit your budget. We're here to listen and provide the right dental solution to meet your needs.
So, text message. Imagine how the mayor or any other Democrat would respond to anyone evading or subverting gun laws that he plans to impose. Interesting.
There's been some taco around town that Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill's menu was getting an upgrade. In the morning, remember the phrase, early bird gets the breakfast burrito? Breakfast is now served 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily at your favorite Mexican restaurant, Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. Monterey's breakfast menu boasts the same high quality you'll get the rest of the day, made fresh daily to keep you coming back week after week. Try Mexican and American breakfast classics with some new items mixed in alongside your favorite hot and cold breakfast beverages, with 3 alcoholic options to choose from too. From burritos and skillets to combos and omelets, Monterey's new breakfast is something you need to experience. And the best part is you can dine in or order to go on your way to work, and they'll make it the way you need it. Off McKinley Avenue, just past Division Street, and online at MontereyMexican.com. Wake up early with Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill for breakfast. You know it's what you want.
My name's Dave Titus with International in Elkhart, Indiana. You know, one of the things that we see people that are...
Bree decided to drop some philosophy on me over the weekend. Sitting on the couch, she goes, Dad, I'm sorry to have to say this, but life is hard.
It's all about the fun.
So just like that.
Yep. Stroll on the beach, or having that private weekend that it really didn't cost you hardly any money, but you had a great time. My salespeople will spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out what they're wanting to do with an RV, where they're wanting to go, how they're going to use it, and we try to make it real. I don't like high pressure. I don't like having my arms twisted. I don't like all of the extra costs at the end. We quote a price. That's what it is. We don't play all the typical used car salesman games. Then, like I said, we do it right. Find us 2 miles north of the bypass on Highway 19 in Elkhart, or at internationalrvwholesalers.net.
Message and data rates may apply.
Earning your degree from one of the top business schools in the country might sound impossible to fit into your workload. But what if there were a business degree that advanced your career skills and gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors all on your schedule? One that opened doors to some of the most influential CEOs, tech companies, law firms, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. And what if you could earn that degree in as little as 16 months, 100% online? Find out more. Text DRIVE to 79645. Start on the path to earning
wise
your
kid.
MBA or Business Analytics Master's degree online from the W.P. Carey School of Business at
She's
Arizona
already ready
State
for summer
University
break.
today. Learn more about the graduate
It's like
programs
you had
from the
2
top
days,
ranked
kid.
W.P. Carey
That was
School of
it.
Business at Arizona State
You got
University.
like 10 more months to deal with it.
Online. Text DRIVE to 79645.
Although we are pulling her out for vacation here.
DRIVE to 79645.
This is Dave Ramsey here to talk about Rain Drain. Rain Drain is your local dealer for the amazing Leaf Guard no clog gutter system. Leaf Guard is the only seamless one-piece leaf protection system on the market today. It's a patented system that's built to stay clog-free. Guaranteed.
Come on.
Rain Drain will clean your gutters for free. To learn more, call Rain Drain at 888-611-RAIN or visit them at raindraininc.com.
Still sunny out there?
We're your home for the Sean
Yeah.
Hannity Show. Weeknights 6 till
I
9,
don't think it's going
exclusively
to,
on News Talk 95.3,
really
Michiana's news
Cool.
channel. Your breaking news news station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. 95.3 MNC welcomes the Wall That Heals to Michiana. The Wall That Heals is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall. It is coming to St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in South Bend. It is free for you to see. The Wall That Heals honors the more than 3 million Americans who served in the Vietnam War and bears the names of more than 58,000 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice during that conflict. We invite you to check it out September 19th through the 22nd at St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in South Bend. 574-2595, 95.3. To the phone lines we go. Derek, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Casey, I'll make this quick. We are the United States of America based on federal law. That's why we're all within the Union of the United States. If I was the president, I'd be calling our Attorney General, getting hold of the U.S. Marshal, and any mayor or sheriff that interferes with ICE or any federal business. I would arrest them, put them in jail.
I mean, theoretically, could you? Yeah, maybe. I know he's threatened to do the withholding of federal funds, and he's had some courts kind of stop that. So he's in the middle of those battles in the court system. Then, of course, if you do that, you're technically not in the wrong, but it becomes a powder keg, and I don't know that he wants to deal with that situation.
I would stop being on the defense and start on the offense.
Yeah.
Let them know that all county sheriffs and mayors interfere with federal agencies because federal law trumps state and local law, and you're breaking the law.
Well, like I said, as I was pointing out earlier, and you're right, but as I was pointing out earlier, if their position is going to be, we're not going to, round up illegal immigrants and we're not going to give them to you and deport them because that's your job, it's not our job, you then cannot step in and actively impede the federal authorities doing that job that you said was their job. So, you can't have it both ways. You got to have it one way or the other. Either you're going to be involved and you're going to enforce federal law or you're not, but you're not going to impede it. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you much. All right. Take care. This is, it said it should be crystal clear. It absolutely should be crystal clear, but they are trying to have it every way that benefits them rather than being consistent. 574-2595, 95.3. Tomorrow, we will go over Pete Buttigieg's military record. We do have some more information about his military record. We'll try and get to that tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to end with some craziness. Are you ready? This also comes from the Discord server. A journal of one of New York University's Women's and Gender Studies program has published a paper that insists that milking cows is comparable to sexual abuse, emotional trauma related to pregnancy, and non-consensual hormone treatments. Non-consensual hormone treatments. That is according to Celine Ryan, who is writing this for Campus Reform. The paper called Readying the Rape Rack feminism and the exploitation of non-human reproductive systems. It was included in Dissenting Voices, published and edited by the Women's and Gender Study program at the college at Brockport State University of New York. Ryan notes that the author, an intern for the Women's Studies Department, asserts that she must discuss the under-researched feminist aspects of animal agriculture, adding, the same way women's health has been at stake for years, a dairy cow's reproductive system has been poked and prodded. As a person on Discord said, just when you think they can't get any dumber, something like this comes out. All right, here's the deal. If you like the live streams, support them. Go to youtube.com/KCTheHost, facebook.com/KCTheHost, or twitch.tv/KCTheHost. Make sure you subscribe or follow. And again, Hannity's coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.
We've all been there before.
Doopy-doopy-doo.
And shut down your office or facility. Let's be blunt. You don't have time for downtime. You need the confidence that comes with the commitment to excellence.
All right, everybody. Hey, Tracy popped back in right before we got out. Well, I don't have my unified chat window up because it says I need to sign back in, and I can't do that in the middle of the show. So I really can't wait for questions or anything at the end of the program.
Ask yourself, has my business grown beyond our current
oh, yeah, I've seen that video. I think that's old, Alex, unless somebody else has done it and it's become a new video. The kid crying about paying taxes in Monopoly.
One call does it all. 574-522-4440.
Well, I'm glad you got home safe, Tracy.
Service upgrades, energy efficient lighting, and commercial.
So I think I'm going to have to bounce and get out of here. But thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're on Twitch, follow or subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like the page and give me a thumbs up and everything else. I don't know. Liberals love cows for some reason. They just won't eat them. I don't know what it is. All right, I got to bounce, everybody. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will talk at you tomorrow.